here?
I'm sure that you get used to
Commissioners, the
meetings.
meeting is now live.
Thank you.
It is 9 a.m. Call this meeting of the Riley County Commission to order. Everybody please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning once again. Kind of an auspicious start to the morning as we were discussing. Hopefully everybody's enjoying this heat wave that we're having.
You know, yesterday afternoon, we were outside, the sun was shining, it was 20 degrees. It felt nice outside.
I actually put a pair of shorts on.
You gotta figure that
Walking
about a
around.
50-degree swing.
Yeah.
Almost felt like summer. Yeah. Yeah. It won't feel like that tomorrow, so just be prepared.
Yeah, tonight it's coming back.
Yeah. Yeah, with that, we'll start the morning off here with some public comments and not seeing anybody up on Zoom other than our boardroom this morning. So anybody here have public comments? I think I know Clancy's fixing to drop.
Can you guess? Commissioners, I'd like to ask you to please add an executive session to my 9:30 administrative time. It'll be for potential litigation. You still have the one that's already scheduled after. So,
Can't have just one.
no, I can start moving.
They're always good as a pair, right?
Limit's only 2 today.
Sounds
I
good.
move we add an executive session to Lance Goldman's time.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded to add a executive session to Clancy Holman's administrative work session time. All in favor?
I,
Thank you, Commissioner.
Anybody else have any public comment that's not executive session related? Okay, seeing none, we'll close off the public comment section and move on to commission comments this morning. And Commissioner McKinley, you're up.
Very well. Quite cold weekend, but yesterday was a made up for it. Started going to Topeka to the Senate Assessment Taxation hearing on House Bill 2036 yesterday morning. This is a bill about the disabled veterans property tax reduction bill. It was originally supposed to meet Tuesday for proponents and Wednesday for opponents and neutral. Because the weather Tuesday was canceled. So everything was done Wednesday, ran long. I didn't get a chance to speak. They extend the meeting till next Tuesday, so I'll go try again. But I'm not gonna take up the whole time here. I can, during one of our breaks, I can fill you in on what went on with this different. In the afternoon, had the EMS building budget review meeting with VHS. The numbers are coming in within the budget, and there's still a few more things to update, and they'll have final numbers in the next week or two for us.
It's
It's good. The numbers are looking well. In the evening, attended meeting in Leonardville. It's organized by the Agriculture Subcommittee for the new comprehensive plan. There was, we got 30 people probably there. It was more than that. You guys had to count it. What?
We didn't have an exact count, but it's close to 50.
I mean, it was a room full of people. And Amanda and Bob gave a presentation on what the existing, because things have come up saying we ought to have this and this in our regulations, and we have those things. And so they gave a good presentation on what all the existing planning and regulations are for ag property, and particularly regarding housing. Trying to let them know what's going on. There were a lot of questions and discussions about a lot of topics, really, ag stuff, but I think they did a good job answering all their questions, trying to get it, because some people had misconceptions about some of the rules and regulations. So hopefully we got some things ironed out there. Then on a lighter note, I braved the cold to attend some great basketball games. Saturday, the women defeat number 10 Texas, and Tuesday, the men defeated number 9 Baylor. Both close, exciting games. And also, Tang is now 10-0 in overtime games and 3-0 against his former boss. So, but yeah, both And there was big crowds. It was over 7,000.
You should have won Saturday.
I was gonna say, lost that one to his previous coworker.
Yeah, but
I think the refs helped that one a little.
the refs, the Baylor game, the refs were unusual on some of the things they were calling. They'd knock each other down and nothing called. Next time somebody walked by somebody, they call a foul.
Yeah, that's the way a couple of our last free throws, our guy wasn't fouled. He just fouled.
Yeah,
Thank God we got him.
but we had somebody going the other direction where they went walk by us and. But anyway, it was an exciting game. The place was rocking,
I bet.
Bet.
keeping it warm because people were jumping and yelling. That's what I got.
Okay.
That's your focus.
Okay, well, this past week's been a fairly quiet one for me, with the holiday and then the winter storms and frigid temperatures. I think I'm up to shoveling, I think I'm up to 4 times at this point, so we'll see. What
I
So,
know somebody with a flamethrower.
well, I don't want to destroy the sidewalk. You know,
Oh, you
just-
do 6 feet off, you 6 inches off the ground, you're good.
It is kind of frustrating that some of my neighbors have decided not to shovel snow, so that, you know, trying to walk through it and the kids going to school, to the school bus is really difficult, so. Anyway. Wednesday, I took my car back to the dealership to get it fixed, and they had to reschedule it again till Friday, something about no loaner cars. So I'll take it in tomorrow morning and away to the retreat. So I'm keeping my fingers crossed about the battery. So far, so good. So I came into the office yesterday and did some work, went over today's meeting and documents and made a few phone calls, followed up on emails. Yesterday evening, I went to Bell choir practice. Then I was headed to Good Morning Manhattan this morning and got a call that it had been canceled. So it was a good thing she caught me in time. But Friday, tomorrow I'm going to be going to the Chambers Regional Leader Retreat at the Health and Garden Inn. That's all I have.
Okay, I got quite a bit, so I'm gonna try to be really fast here. I got 8 minutes. Started off Thursday afternoon with a January Teams call, the National Association of Counties, Veterans and Military Services Committee. Heard from our chair, Krista Marston. She's a commissioner from Ramsey County, Minnesota. Dr. Sarah Pencil, I think is her name. I might have chopped that up a little bit. Associate research professor at USC, discussed and summarized the State of Americans Veterans Report. Research that was developed with a grant in mind from the social work school there at USC. We also heard from Commissioner Julie Jepson from Anoka County, Minnesota. I probably chopped that one up too. On a veterans medical examiner survey and resolution our county's putting together for passage with NACO dealing with death certificates for those veterans that pass away after service. Got a legislative update from our legislative director and a preview of what's going to go on at this meeting at next month's legislative and policy conference in DC. Also Thursday afternoon, I attended the Year of Victory ceremony up on Fort Riley with Commanding Major General John Meyer and Deputy Commanding General Daniel Noyce, both giving speeches to commemorate the event. And I had a really nice reception right afterwards. Also last Thursday evening, I attended the 50-year consolidation ceremony for RCPD at the Law Enforcement Center. I was able to say a few words on the occasion, as were current Mayor Wynn Butler and former Mayor Mark Hattasol, current Director Brian Peet, former Director Brad Schoen, and others, including County Attorney Barry Wilkerson and the current Law Board Chair John Mata also spoke. Very well attended for kind of a small knit group of community members that were invited, as well as the media. Had a very nice reception afterwards to celebrate the anniversary. Over the weekend, I tried to just stay inside and stay warm. And I watched a lot of the NFL playoffs. Most of those games were the
Couple of
blowouts. Yeah, but still just kind of blowouts. Did watch the K-State girls beat Texas at home. That was a fun game to watch. The K-State men and Lubbock was not a fun game to watch. Kentucky dropped a tough one to Texas A&M as well. Moving on to Tuesday, we did have our CPD Law Board meeting at City Hall. Kind of a short agenda for the most part. Approval of the consent agenda. having dialogue, obviously, on the budget timeline. It's that time of the year again there. Series of executive sessions of non-elected personnel to work out details of the annual performance evaluation of the RCP director and execution of an updated employment contract reflective of those goals and objectives for 2024. Also Tuesday afternoon, attended the monthly Board of Directors meeting for the Manhattan Area Chamber of Commerce. Some of the items that were discussed there were just kind of financial updates from 2023 all the way through December. Membership accounts and other items that kind of included in that. Got a really good presentation from Kristen Brighton on the Hires Path program. I grabbed a couple of these to pass along on there if you want to check that out. Something they've been working on for quite some time. Had a really good video. It actually come from one of our supervisors at Florence, kind of surprised me. And did a real good job on that. And still working on some things there. They've got some really good ideas, I thought. So we made a vote to replace the DEI chair of their committee there. The new chair will be Lisa Sicily. We had dialogue on an upcoming economic development consultant agreement here in 2024 and a 2024 chamber board checklist. We also heard from new board chair Jake Wassenberg, who will be serving in that role for 24, and lots of information on tomorrow's leadership retreat. Not so much on some other events, apparently. Tuesday evening, I did watch the K-State men's game. A damn game about gave me a heart attack. Up and down. I was trying to get some work done. And finally, I just put the work to the side. I'm like, this ain't going to work tonight. So, and then, I ended up winning in overtime, which made me realize that there are 3 certainties in life: death, taxes, and a Jerome Tang coach team winning in overtime. Just throwing all that out there. Wednesday afternoon, I attended the January meeting of the Flint Hills Metropolitan Organization. Some of the items discussed there was all the updates on the 23 financials, some of our staff member updates. KDOT gave us an update too, including a summary from last year's local consult. Action items approved included minutes from last month's meeting. Amendment number 1 to the Unified Planning Work Program. So other updates and changes to the MPO operations manual. And we tabled a transit performance preservation measure until a later date. So we get some more data on that. Last we got several updates and other end of the year expenditures and carryovers, and an update on some actions dealing with some transitions with the IRS. Also attended the Ogden City Council meeting last night. Had a chance to meet and have dialogue with their couple of their new council members that came on here at the beginning of January. They had a very, very short meeting. So, and with that, that's all I got this morning. So
Ready for
let's
business?
move on to business. Yeah.
First item I have needs signatures for certificate of appreciation for Diane Hubler and Nathan Larson.
Okay, I would make a motion to sign the certificates of recognition.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to sign the certificates of appreciation for former Riley County Planning Board members Diane Hubler and Nathan Larson. All those in favor? All right.
Aye.
All 3, please sign.
She was at the meeting last night.
Diane?
Diane was.
Yeah.
Talked to her, told her, appreciated all the.
Been there a long time.
They've been in a long time. She did work on that. What is it called? Vision 2025. She was on that, worked on that runs, then went to the
Yeah.
planning. That's that.
Yeah. They live out south. They
Yeah.
use on their property.
She said they live out. So we're gonna talk about Southeast County. We're talking about me. We're on the line.
They are. He's out that area this time of year. And all those crop fields on the river bottom there.
We can do, I thought it's gigantic flocks and.
No geese. Yeah, those things.
Huge flocks, like I've never seen. So you're talking about that side.
That's why there's no limit on those things because
Oh, yeah.
they're decimating the nesting areas in Canada. They're so overpopulated.
Oh, right.
And they put special seasons on them. They just, yeah, they're just so.
And I've seen photos of some of the groups that go out and put just hundreds of decoys in the field.
Oh, yeah, they do.
And just keep on shooting them.
They
I was
do.
telling that to my younger brother in Reno, told him, we got to find a way, when we're retired, we got to go snow geese. I said,
Yeah,
I don't know how far we have to grind.
not far. There's around here. Next, commissioners need a motion to approve following appointments.
Hold up on that because it's 9:15. We'll let Amy go.
Okay, yep, we can do that.
We can come back to that.
Gonna say my little 1 minute presentation.
Yeah. Try to keep everybody on that on time frame. I know you've got busy stuff to do. Rich.
Rich. We got them, no.
Also get C's, yeah. You want?
Yeah, I'll get them in the frames. Yeah, it's always waiting. Yes.
Okay.
Ways down there.
Did I miss it? Oh, here we go. Okay. Amy Mangus, registered deeds. And I have a brief summary of our revenue figures for 2023 with comparable data for 2022. As you can see, our year looked very different last year compared to 22. The loan amount is less than half of what it was the prior year, which less mortgages means less sales. And so all of our other figures are obviously down as well. Flats, we had a few more than the year before, but they're still mostly just replats or lot splits. I think we had 2 subdivisions where they platted. There was one that was like 60 and another one, I think that was comparable, but otherwise they're just 1 and 2 lots. We recorded almost 6,000 documents for a little over 26,000 pages. We're averaging 49 subscriptions monthly on our IDOC market site. With a total of 8,400 prints and a little over 5,100 views. Staff printed an additional or emailed an additional almost 10,000 pages that were requested outside of that. I completed my 36 hours of coursework through K-State and I'm now a certified Kansas registered deed. We're continuing to rescan books 239 through 332. Staff is still attending training when it's available. And I'm still tracking daily revenue loss due to the changes in filing and mortgage registration fees. And our total revenue loss for 2023 is $602,019.33.
Thank you for continuing to, it's useful in front of the legislature.
Yes. I know, I spoke to some of my fellow registered deeds and I may have 1 or 2 that might start doing it this year. I even offered if they would send me the reports that I would do it for them. Just so we could have some comparables, but
Thank you.
so we'll see.
It took long to grab hold.
Yeah, I think Leavenworth for sure will. I think the only thing there is, she's not familiar with the old fee schedule, so it might take a little bit of additional training just so she can.
I bet you could provide.
Oh, yes, definitely. But
Thanks for
that's all I have.
Okay.
Any questions? All right, have a good day.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Ready for business?
Yeah.
Need a motion on a resolution, appointing Riley County representatives to council advisory boards and the letters.
Right. There we go. It's in there something. I move to approve the following appointments solicited and resolution 010824, appointing Riley County representative to the council and advisory boards.
I would second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded on appointment letters and resolution for positions on Riley County advisory boards. All those in favor? Aye.
All three signed. Yes.
That's what, not in the meeting, but in talking to level county commissioner. One of them has compiled a list of all the mortgage,
Yeah.
of all the different things. He said, I mentioned out, you seen the list? He said, you've got a list of like 4 pages of different things that they promised they're going to Sons County staff and haven't been over the years. So he's, you know,
I must be Commissioner Culberson.
yeah.
Yeah. I talked to him on the phone just right before Christmas with that same dialogue.
Because he and.
To the
Which was good, considering their meeting, it's Wednesday, it's not my meeting, but they've got 5 commissioners, so the 3 of them are good.
The two of them can, yeah.
The 2 of them can.
Uh-oh, you broke it.
Yeah. That's There's so many of them.
So what's going, what are they putting in the water up in Nebraska?
Why do you ask?
I don't know. I saw a video of this crazy guy at Home Depot hijacking a skid loader and taking everything out, including a policeman and a police car.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I mean, he probably lost his mind from the cold.
Yeah.
It's been so cold up there.
I was just thinking, I mean, Nebraska football hasn't been relevant in like, well over a decade, so it can't be that.
Well, it might have been that. They pushed him over the edge.
I mean, the way Nebraskans are, that can make you crazy.
Uh-huh.
I mean,
Yeah.
our lifeblood, yeah.
That's true.
Well, it used to be.
It's,
And it can't be your lifeblood anymore.
no, do you know Nebraska, any
Out of-
Nebraska football
out of
teams,
blood.
they're still, it's still runs deep. You know, give our coach a minute. He's doing better than the last coach.
Oh, yeah, for sure. No, Nebraska's got a lot of programs going in the right direction.
Oh, my goodness, yeah.
They're really starting to turn things around and everything. Of course, their volleyball's always been tremendously good. K-State baseball, number 24.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the basketball team recently played somebody local.
They whooped us.
Huh.
Yeah, unfortunately, I was there at that game. It was not nice.
But it was a good game though, right? Because it looked, I mean,
No, it was not a good
you
game.
know, I understand your team didn't win, but there was good basketball thing, wasn't there?
No.
On one
it
side.
wasn't.
Oh, really?
On one
It
side.
was pretty sloppy all the way around. I mean, it was like 60-40. I mean, it wasn't really like Nebraska shot lights out either. It was just one of those.
Oh, I heard that it wasn't there. Yeah.
I didn't think either team played overly well, but we really didn't play
Oh, that's-
well.
Yeah, I think our team scored like 12 points a second.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, we all want our team to win, but it's fun to see real athletic competition, so. That's too bad.
You got to see that at the Baylor K-State
Oh,
game.
man, that was defense. Both teams were not going to let anybody score.
But so
I
amazing.
thought for a while there, K-State might have like held them to like 6 points for the entire second half there for a while. And then all of a sudden 3 started just falling for everybody and it was like changed the course of the game. But it was there for a while. They only had 3 points and it was all from the foul line.
Well, then they couldn't make free throws.
Yeah.
Well, the guy that kept going to the line, he was horrible. Big guy.
Yeah.
Which is kind of probably the point, but yeah.
Right.
That title carried. he shoots free throws. I mean, net barely moved, and then he missed one. Everybody went,
I just
how did that happen? He doesn't
I
miss
just
free
get
throws.
tired of him going in amongst the trees and he doesn't
Yeah.
stand a chance.
He gets wound up sometimes.
Thank you.
Sure. It'll be the same motion for
When he
both.
just
Okay, full time.
got his free throws.
Yeah, sure.
It looks like Steve Hansen. Yeah, it just was automatic.
Yeah,
It just falls right through the net. It doesn't move, yeah.
I just shake my head every time he goes in amongst the
Yeah.
trees and it's like, gosh, stop.
We need to explain what that's all. Yes, because he didn't realize.
Well, and he always turns it over and gets stuck. You know, if he was productive with it.
And I told him, well, he needed new shoes because he kept falling. And I don't know if it was something, but nobody else was, but he kept slipping,
Mhm.
falling in, like I said, then he get called, they called foul one time. No apparent reason, but.
Next commissioners have Riley County Employee Action Forms, Daniel Tretcher, new hire EMT EMS ambulance, Holly Hill, new hire as needed museum assistant, Brandy Searmeyer, new hire as needed museum assistant, Daphne Medina Lorda, new hire as needed intern volunteer health department, Jasprit Baines, a new hire as needed volunteer health department. And then a long list of separation of service for election workers. And then Dorothy Clausen and Paula Payne, Gail Eystone, Amber Schuman, and Francis Jackson, new hires temporary election board workers. All three signed.
Okay. Split these up a bit. There.
So they just gonna hold over the breakfast from today's meeting to tomorrow's meeting or? The
They're gonna
breakfast
charge
food?
twice for it, I hope. I was kind of looking forward to eggs and bacon this morning. I'm a little disappointed.
Disappointed on several levels on that deal.
I'm pretty sure something came up with Scott, obviously, some. I don't think it's the best time of the year to probably be trying to get state executives.
Well, I was actually surprised they were having it just because of the meeting tomorrow.
Yeah.
That this one
Yeah.
didn't get canceled, didn't even plan on having it scheduled, you know?
And they've got some reception tonight for the second class of 15 under 42, so they got a lot going on.
Scott's dealing with the new no labels party of Kansas.
Great.
No
No
labels.
labels.
That's a new official party in the state of
Are they gonna
Kansas.
be on the ballot?
It is.
I thought, did they get what did they have to do, a petition to do that?
They did.
They got the percentage.
Well, not necessarily, but it ended up in court and it's probably one of those settled deals.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because like I said, we meet weekly and it was clear early on, we were told that, no, this isn't gonna happen. And then several months later, we get a surprise, oh, they made it after it went to court.
Were they suing the secretary?
I'm sure. Mhm.
I just didn't know it was done. Yeah.
This
Yeah, so
third party cat, they just never do anything.
by the timing of one day, we saved $4,000 because we were just about to get our provisional ballot
Oh,
envelope
yeah.
printed. And because of the snow, it got delayed a day. And that saved us $4,000.
Well, thank you, Mother Nature, for saving the county some money. Of course, we'll make up for it in sand and salt.
All good.
It's-
That's good.
No, not the moment, it's not.
Commissioners, Elizabeth needed to visit with you on an administrative leave issue.
So, Elizabeth Ward, Human Resources Director, I'm actually asking you to consider this request on behalf of Evan McMillan regarding the transfer station. So on Monday and Tuesday, as you are aware, we had to close the transfer station early Monday. It was closed all day on Tuesday. And the reasoning was, cold weather and it kind of gelled up all of our equipment with work. And so,
It wasn't our equipment, it was Cam's. but-
Yeah.
yes, thank you. So, but we couldn't be open because the equipment wouldn't work. Thank you. And so Evan would like to request you consider granting administrative leave for the 2 employees that were scheduled to work. So it'd be 2 or 3, I think, for each of them, between 2 and 3 hours on Monday. And then the full day of schedule on Tuesday. So they were unable to work those days. Basically, their workstation is closed.
Yeah, I think so.
I think that's fair.
Rich, is that something we need a motion? I mean, they've got.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
do for that for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, I move we grant administrative leave to the employees who were shut out of work on Monday and Tuesday.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded on granting administrative leave to our 2 employees at the transfer station from Monday and Tuesday. All in favor?
I,
Thank you on behalf of Evan, but also on behalf of the employees. I know that they will appreciate that. They were ready and willing to come to work. Yeah, thank you.
Do we have just a couple of minutes to finish out here, Clancy, before the executive session?
I think so, since I'm not doing these.
Or we can catch up later. I mean, if you guys.
Well, all we need to do is just pass the minutes. That's it.
Okay.
No problem.
I didn't see any issues.
Okay. Move we approve the minutes in the January 11th meeting.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded on approval of the minutes from the January 11th meeting as written. All in favor?
Aye.
Everything tentative is fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Any items for next week's press conference?
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Check.
Business is complete.
Right, well. I move the county commission, including Chairman Ward, Vice Chair Kinley, and Commissioner Foki recess into executive session on potential litigation for the purpose of consultation with Shelley Woodard, Deputy County Counselor, attorney for the commission, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship and exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act. The open meeting to resume in the county commissioner chambers at how much time? 10:40 or 9:40 at 9:40.
I would second that.
It's been moved and seconded on recessing into executive session until 9:40 a.m. All those in favor?
Aye.
And we are back in Congress.
Move the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session.
I would second that.
It moved seconded, the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session. All in favor?
Move the record reflect no binding action was taken during executive session.
I would second that.
Then moved and seconded that no binding action was taken during the executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
It's the same.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I move the county commission, including Chairman Ford, Chair, Vice Chair Henley, and Commissioner Foki, recess into executive session on potential litigation for the purpose of consultation with Shelley Woodard, Deputy County Counselor, Attorney for the Commission, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, an exception to the Kansas Open Meeting Act. The open meeting to resume the county chamber at 10 o'clock.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded that the county commission move into executive session on grounds of potential litigation until 10 a.m. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
you've got some
And commissioners, we are live.
representative that it might be expanding it to the state.
I think that's what's
Instead
gonna
of just
happen.
doing
Yeah.
us.
Yeah.
Explain it.
They don't have to go, both ways. And I'm gonna attend the, Livestock Association dinner too. We'll have to get on there and register. Can you guys?
I'll tell Sharon.
Okay.
I'll just put your name there.
That's what I ended up having to do last year because that events tab thing on there wasn't working. So.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh,
Just text me right now, so I can do that.
Everybody else with two votes.
no, we'll wait for a second.
Well,
Okay, Gary.
No, we need a
Yeah,
motion.
we're ready.
We need a motion.
Oh,
that's what I said.
okay, well, yeah, we do need a motion. We gotta do a motion here real quick. We're good to go.
I move the board of county commissioners come out of executive session.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that the Board of County Commissioners come out of executive session. All in favor?
I move the record reflect action will be taken consistent with the consensus reached in executive session.
I'll second that.
It's been moved and seconded that, the record reflect action, taken consistent, with the consensus that we reached in executive session. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now we're ready for you, Gary.
All right.
Okay.
I've got a couple of announcements before I start. I think you were aware that Greg McClure's retirement party is the 29th. 3:30 to 5:30 out at Potter Fall, just ahead of the Riley County Livestock Association annual meeting. So if you can come, that's great. And we would appreciate that if you can. We'll have executive board members there and of course staff and other county agents and stuff. So
I plan on, being there as I mentioned. So.
good, good. There will be some kind of cake or something like that. I'm not sure exactly what, but Greg is
Better be Call Hall ice cream. because that's
well,
what
I
he's
don't
known
know
for.
about that. I wasn't in charge of the ordering of the food this time, so I'm not sure.
So he retires and he probably still has to cook the steaks.
Yeah, yeah.
Nice stock.
I'm cooking your steaks for the county officials luncheon or whatever.
Oh, the township
meeting.
Township, oh.
Yeah,
So
so
you have to find a
you'd
new
be
sub.
taking your chance,
That'd been his.
chances with me. Yeah.
They usually have call hall and steaks at the
Yeah,
livestock
they'll have call,
association.
there will be call.
Okay, we can live with that.
No worries. No worries.
No pressure, but it's reflective of your annual appropriation.
Yeah.
Already, you've already made me aware of that. Stan.
I think how all that works.
Wow, you guys are tough. So the other thing is, you probably heard and know from Corey's report or whatever, and Rich knows that KSU electronic, everything is in disarray, so. I've been telling people to use the Riley County Kansas.gov email or even my home email address or cell phones to communicate. I communicated with my executive board today to make sure they all knew. So there's gonna be, who knows how long that's gonna go on. So the thing is, I can send you an email, but everything that comes in is being blocked. And I think Corey told me last count, he had over 200 emails in his box that he's not releasing until K-State gives him the clear. So we're just gonna have to be patient. It's inconvenience, but it's nothing major.
That intergovernmental.
Yeah, and that, I'm gonna mention that at the end of the meeting. Yeah.
Okay. So, it's like I tell everybody else jokingly that, what did the pioneers do when they didn't have email? So I'm sure we'll be able to survive without it for a while.
There was a time when we didn't have email?
Yeah, I know, that's hard to believe. That's hard to believe, but that's the way it is today. We have Teams also, so which continues to confuse things because I can't remember whether I got information about something on Teams, an email, a text, or a voicemail. So too many methods of communication, yet there's still things that get dropped, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you all about two things. One is VITA will be starting the 29th of January at the library. We will have somewhat expanded hours. The notice is out on our website and we've sent out mailers to churches, employers, and we'll hand deliver a number of those other flyers. But we're probably going to be down on volunteers by a couple. We had some health issues with some, but we do have a new one training, so that should be good. And that will run through April 15th. The other thing that I want to tell you about was our Riley County Rural Economic Development Advisory Board meeting a program we're doing called Focus on Building Rural Communities. We've invited Lieutenant Governor Toland to come speak, but our keynote speaker is going to be Dr. Benjamin Winchester from the University of Minnesota. If you care to watch or get on YouTube ever, he's got some presentations on there, but he basically talks about small rural communities, lifeblood, new people's impressions, those kinds of things. And we're going to have a panel of local people in addition to him, and he'll moderate that. And then we will have Trish Purdon from the Governor's Office on Rural Prosperity speaking. Eric Peterson from Network Kansas will speak, as well as Jeff Wick, or I'm not saying his first name right, Mr. Wick from WTC to talk about rural products. Jeff. And so we're really looking forward to this. You're going to start seeing publicity on this come out heavy. Next week will be the first blast, and then after I'm going to Brazil for a couple of weeks on an ag tour from the 28th of January until the 10th of February for Kansas Ag and Rural Leadership. Yeah. And so
Don't let them change you, Gary.
I won't.
Okay.
I won't. But it'll be interesting. We're going to tour corn and soybean farms in addition to floriculture, sugarcane, coffee production. So it's kind of an all-encompassing kind of in South Central Brazil. So I'll be sure and give a report. I'm going to
Take lots of
put together a
pictures.
slide
Yeah.
presentation and I'll show you that.
Have you been there before?
I've been to Brazil one other time for the World Angus, or for the Brazilian Angus Conference when I worked for the Red Angus Association. And we were at Porto Alegre. We'll fly into Sao Paulo and then kind of tour that area west and south there.
That was one of the
What
countries
time
I
of
thought
the-
it'd be.
Interesting.
Mhm.
It'll be warm there.
Okay, it'll be
Yeah.
almost summertime.
Yeah, it'll be
Yeah,
summertime.
that's what I thought.
Yeah.
I always thought it'd be interesting to go to there. That's one
Yeah.
of the few countries I think would be. interesting.
Yeah, it's intriguing because to what little I've seen of it, there's a lot of haves and more
Mhm.
have nots.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got it pretty good
Mhm.
right here. But anyway, it'll be an interesting trip and I'm excited about it. And so Greg Eyestone will be acting county director for a couple of weeks while I'm gone. But yeah,
We'll have plans.
okay.
I am curious, on the, building rules community.
Uh-huh.
That is on a Monday. I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's all day.
Yeah, it's all
Okay.
day. It's 9 to 3. And I did not want to do that on a Monday, but the keynote speaker, it's the only day.
No, I
you can make
understand.
work.
We just need to figure out what we're gonna do here
Right.
for that, because I think we probably want to attend, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
and we're doing it in Leonardville at Sykes venue where we have our annual.
March
meeting.
4th.
Yeah. Yeah. 9 to 3. We will have lunch, of course. There's a $25 registration fee to cover the cost, because this speaker cost us some money to get in. And we're paying part of his travel expenses and a fee. So we generally don't do that, but in this case, we had to. So plus we got to pay for the food
That you'll be cooking.
that I will not be cooking.
Oh, wait a minute
Cook
now.
steaks for this, and it probably
Wait a
won't be
minute
steaks. But it will be good, so.
Okay.
All right. Any questions or anything else for me?
Tell me again when the advisory board meets, the rural.
They meet on the third Wednesday of the month at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That would have been yesterday. Yeah. So we just had one yesterday. Went through some more of our planning and development for this program, suggestions from them.
And that's in your office.
Well, it's in the second floor meeting room.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay,
Thanks, Gary.
thank you so much. Have a great day.
Commissioners, can we clean up on some other business I've got?
Depends on what it is.
For instance,
For instance, this one here, do we want to have that be our commission meeting day and all commissioners attend and myself?
would
And see
like
if
to
Clancy
attend.
wants to.
yeah,
Sure.
Agree? Okay, we'll do that.
So that's March 4th. Is that?
Yeah. They were originally planning, I think, on the third, but he couldn't come down on that Sunday. So it is what it is.
Sounds good. And then local government day and Topeka is January 24th, 1 PM to 7 PM. Would any of you like to attend?
I do. I'm going to. That's Wednesday. This upcoming Wednesday.
That's where we get together with KAC and League of Kansas Municipalities and Legislators.
Yep.
Kind of a schmoozing event.
maybe.
They can tell you all the things they're gonna do to our taxes and
Or what they're not going
All
to
things
do,
they're gonna do to help us.
or not help us.
Maybe. I don't know. I've got a maybe on that.
Which one is this?
local government day,
And it's that
January 24th.
KAC offices. I didn't see exactly where they're meeting at. Last year we met. For a few years there, we meet over at the Capitol Plaza Hotel, and then they moved it to the offices last year. So
KAC office in Beacon,
Okay.
Topeka, Kansas.
Where?
that's where we met last year.
The Beacon, wherever the Beacon is, I don't know.
That's someplace, that's another building we're walking over to from there.
Yeah.
That's on the other side, over next.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess.
You will? Okay, sounds good.
And I have some concerns about the intergovernmental on Monday. They're supposed to be getting some kind of a code or something to do parking, and now with
Yeah, I didn't see any
well,
codes.
that's because they can't send email because
We've got all of it even blocked now.
K-State's email server got hacked.
Mhm.
That's next
It'll be
Monday, right?
interesting.
The
Yeah.
22nd, right?
So I don't know how you reach out to Grant or whomever to figure that out.
You can contact them and somehow have.
You're supposed to use the Park Mobile app.
Yeah, I know. I looked at, it, was reading.
It's
it.
not really complicated, but I can't do anything if I don't have an access code.
But, yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
I'll see what I can run down on that.
Okay.
And a couple more things.
And that's up in the Bluemont room, which I think is up in the corner there, the second or
Yeah.
third floor.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
haven't moved that one. But
Capitol Day, County Day at the Capitol, February 8th, 2024,
no,
That's during our meeting.
8 AM to 2 PM.
I don't know on that one just yet. It's still a little too far out.
It is a commission meeting.
Yeah.
We went last.
We went 2 years ago, but it was on a Wednesday. Last year it was on a Thursday too, and I didn't go.
Seemed like the one I went. It wasn't that much. It was everybody's.
It was,
wandering around.
it was kind of the first year they did it too, and I kind of,
It wasn't much.
can you reach out maybe to Kim and get some more information on that, what they're planning? So it seemed like to me that was more of an affiliates type of meeting.
Because they had all those,
Association.
yeah, they had all the
Yeah.
different. Things, maybe I did go last year, but
I
they
didn't
had
go
all
last
these
year.
booths from different groups. But as far as
Yeah,
talking to-
That's the meeting it is.
Yeah.
But as far as talking to the legislators, we never did anything.
Yeah, you just gotta stand around at some table and hope your legislator shows up type of thing.
Yeah, I'm not gonna cancel. I don't, would rather not cancel a meeting for that.
Okay, we'll just put no on that one.
And I guess while we're doing business here too, it'd be a good time to tell everybody I will be in DC through the 14th,
The what?
9th through the 14th for NACO's policy conference.
February?
and I'm having knee surgery on February 5th, so I'll be kind of out of it till for a little bit. I will zoom in when I can, probably not that this week, but I'm hoping that.
So that following
Well,
Monday
not being
meeting, we'll have to kind of
Zoom,
watch close, as
some.
you'll have to take over for me for that, but I'll zoom in from DC.
Through the 14th, you'll be here the 15th.
Yeah.
Okay.
It'll be that Monday meeting, the 13th, I think, or the 12th or whatever it is.
12th is
Yeah.
it.
List of days for commissioners to consider for small cities meetings. So take a day and look at them and then we'll kind of get together and regroup and see when you all or at the end of this meeting, we can talk about it. You can pass one of those down.
Oh.
She's gonna decide for us.
Yeah.
We have to figure out what 4 dates that will work.
Or we can just discuss them, yeah, at the end of the meeting. You guys ready for Director Pete?
When it's 10:15.
In a few seconds.
Jason,
The first is the conservation meeting. Conservation annual meetings on February 1st. Okay,
Hey, good morning, members of the County Commission, Ryan Peake with the Riley County Police Department. Good morning, Mr. Pardo, sir.
Good morning.
I'm here to, I just wanted to, go over a few of the end of the year statistics, just some basic summarization of, and then we'll make sure we have those, the end of the year, all the actual, data numbers emailed to all of you all. But just generally speaking, for Part 1 crimes, for the end of 2023, we were roughly 7% below the 5-year average. For Part 1 violent crimes, we were 13% around that area, below the 5-year average. For robberies, we were roughly 47, or I'm sorry, about 45% below the 5-year average. Aggravated assaults and battery, we were, again, the majority of those tended to be domestic related. We were projected at around somewhere around 6% below the 5-year average. Property crimes, Part 1s, we were projected to be around 6%, or I'm sorry, we were around the 6% area. Structural burglaries, roughly about 14% down. Vehicular burglaries, we were up about 8 to 9%. For motor vehicle thefts, we were down roughly 30%. For DUIs, the numbers reported were again for the month of November we're around 5% below, but DUIs are going to be up for the year 2023, roughly in the area of 17 to 18%. Traffic accidents were around 9% below, or I'm sorry, we're projected to be around 5% below the 5-year average for the throughout the year. And then with preventable traffic accidents, we're roughly down 1 to 2% below the 5-year average. To me, that says, again, coming in early last year, that just tells me that what the department has been doing as far as its intelligence-led policing efforts, being out there in the communities, developing relationships with members of our community so that when unfortunate things happen, we have those relationships to fall back on where people feel entrusted to speak with us about things that they've known, seen, or may contribute to solving any types of crimes, which is different from other communities I've been in, because when something happens, people tend to say, well, that's the police's problem, let them look into it. But we all know crime is extraordinarily personal, especially in the county areas. Folks are really looking out for each other. So I think that there's 2 parts to this. There is the community itself and the values and the ethics of the community and how it looks at policing in a very community-minded way. And then law enforcement being out there to increase our legitimacy and work with the trust of the public. So my hat's off to the members of the community. My hat's off to the police department for what I consider a very good year as far as working to keep crime down. Speaking of keeping crime down, at the end of this month, I will be going around again doing a small series of town hall areas, or town halls in the areas throughout the county to look at creating a crime reduction plan. So we sent out a copy of the multi-year plan from the department. And we will be discussing that at next month's law board in depth, more specifically. But with the crime prevention plan, it's looking at other external factors, other things that we can do. What we see is the perception from the outside of the crime, as well as the statistics that we have, but the perception from the communities to what crime or what's making people feel a little uncomfortable if they're feeling that way within the community, and then how do we address it? So that crime prevention plan, I hope to have that to the law board mid next month, and then we'll put those results and put that plan out to the public after the law board has taken a look at it. Those town hall meetings are going to be the 29th of January at 6 p.m. That's going to be at 222 South on Broadway in Riley. On the 30th, we'll be doing it at 6 p.m. at City Hall on Points here in Manhattan. And on the 31st, it's going to be 6 p.m. in Ogden on 220 on Willow Street. Let's see. So let's talk about the fun stuff. So we are about to dive into scratching the areas on the budget process for the Riley County Police Department. We have our marching orders from the law board. And again, we want to make sure that we're going to minimize as many costs as we possibly can, look for internal ways to find savings. But also just to let you all know, you may know that we've been having discussions with the county, with Mr. Bargo, about programs within the corrections facility and what those may look like. So we want to make sure that we keep those processes ongoing and talking. The feasibility study. So as I mentioned before, that we're low on space, but keeping in mind, again, where the county is as far as financially and budget wise. So, but we're just continuing to prepare our feasibility study. That's with Bruce McMillan, and they gave us the first initial very rough draft of, based on the things that we had asked for and what our projected space needs to be. And so we'll be going back and forth. So hopefully by the end of February, we should have a finished product, and that should come in the area of, and that should also come with potential numbers, what we'd be looking for any facility upgrades or improvements and increases. We're not, I think, feasible, even if there's something like this were to come to fruition. It's keeping in mind this is pinning a lot of outside things beyond all of our control. But even if something like this were to happen, the most viable option that we see that's most cost economic is to stay where we are. But looking at how we can increase either up or back or to the side. So looking at those options, but we want to stay mindful of it. When this study is done, I don't anticipate for this to be something that we're done, I come right to you and say, this is what we need here and now. I think this is going to be something for a planning process that the commission will know, hey, this is something that we could look at strategically. How is this going to play out? How can the commission plan for the future? This is not going to be an immediate demand. However, I will be looking for outside funding for this, and I would not bring, or I do not plan to say, hey, this is a viable option that we're looking to implement right now, unless I can find a significant amount of money to offset it or to pay for it entirely. So again, I want to make this clear to any members of the public. I've made it clear to the department. This is not going to be, once we're done with it, hey, commission, we need this right here, right now. This is specifically for strategic planning purposes. And then the last bit is I will be out of town next week. I'll be in Manhattan. This is where thanks to the law board allowed me to go out there. I'll be meeting with Dr. Andrew Solomon.
New York, I'm assuming.
New York.
Okay.
From Manhattan to Manhattan. I was talking to my mother about that this morning. Well, yeah, I'll be going out to New York to meet with Dr. Solomon. And we will be going over the final parts of a training that we're doing regarding active shooters. So there's a lot of training that's out there that talks about active shooting. That training is what I call left of trigger. Right of trigger. So after the shooting takes place, what does law enforcement do? What do the communities do? How do you do these exercise drills? I know the Riley County Police Department, the county, all of us are on the same sheet of music. We're very well prepared for something like that, but I don't want something like that to happen. There's little training available that talks about how do you look for the signals And how do you work towards getting someone in custody or getting someone within some type of a crisis type of a help? How do you avoid the situation? So that's what we're developing, something left of Trigger Pull. And hopefully we will be able to present that and roll that out. That's gonna be something we want to do on a nationwide basis. And with the first class of training happening here in Riley County, probably within the city of Manhattan. And we want to, I think that's going to be another opportunity for us to show the country of how great of a place this is. And we showcase something that I think is going to have a positive effect going forward within the law enforcement community for years to come. So other than that, that's all that I have. I stand ready to answer any questions that the commission may have.
We have a few building needs this next year too, don't we? Are we gonna work on, oh, I guess John's here. Right?
You know, they, I think they should be scheduled with Dr. Bruce.
Okay. So that's a major project too.
Yes.
Starting this year. I don't have anything else.
All right. Well, thank you all very much. Have a great day.
Thank you, Brian. Have a good day.
So we're supposed to write on here what days we're
We just
available.
like got back, picked up somebody, I guess, I don't know.
Oh, okay, roll it. Okay, sure.
Yeah, as far as the small cities thing, Rich, I mean, whatever works for whatever community at whatever time, we'll make it work. For me, Mondays and Thursdays are blocked off for the most part, so. I think we did last year, we kind of worked that early.
Is there a group of department heads you would like them,
I'd
you
like
know,
to keep it kind of the same.
more relevant? I mean, that's why she listed who's
Yeah.
scheduled on those
And that's
days.
why we try to do the 5th. So
So just try and do the 5th if we
to
can.
me,
Yeah,
that's best.
Okay, we'll do that. See if we can get lined out.
Fifth,
You said what the,
fifth Thursdays or what?
or Monday, what we said. August needs to be Monday, because what's
Yeah.
on Thursday.
and that's fine.
Yeah, there's this. One would be, Tuesdays and Wednesdays. Another going, Tuesday, my house instead.
Ogden's city council meetings are on Wednesdays, but they do have a youth program on Thursdays.
We will start promptly at 10:30, just so you know.
Okay, sure.
Sorry.
No problem.
Go by the posted time on the agenda.
Got it.
That way, in case someone wants to hop online and watch you.
February 1st won't work though.
Okay.
That's the conservation district meeting that night.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And that was supposed to remind everybody, did everybody get an email on the Raleigh County Farm Bureau's family night on February 25th? Okay. I'll forward that email over to you, Rich, and make sure you get it.
For sure.
It's got a flyer and stuff with it.
Okay.
It's up at Sykes venue, I think again.
It's on Sunday.
Yes. And we are at 10:30, so Jeff.
All right.
Go right ahead.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for giving me time today. I'm Jeff Sackrider. I'm the Manhattan Market Manager with WTC, and I'm here to talk to you today about the ADOPT grant that WTC is preparing. So we've got this letter and this kind of one sheeter that explained about it, but basically this is Department of Commerce through the Office of Broadband Development has made about $15 million available to the state of Kansas. There's two things they're trying to do. The area that we're going to focus on is providing free public Wi-Fi in Riley County, specifically in Manhattan, where we already have built out a pretty significant fiber network over the last 7 or so years. Kind of the goal of this grant is to address Kansans that are economically distressed, that don't have adequate access to internet, maybe at their homes or wherever they're at. This grant identifies about 60 counties that they say are economically distressed. And as I'm sure you know, Riley County has the unfortunate distinction of being the only county in the state that is designated as persistently impoverished. So we feel like an application that comes in for Riley County because of that is going to be given very careful consideration. So this grant opened up just before Christmas. It's got a very tight window. Our application is due at the end of the month. And so in those 7 weeks, that included Christmas and New Year's, I've been meeting with leaders and partners in town, trying to identify places that are unserved or underserved according to the state's definition, which means that they have Wi-Fi that's under 100 by 20 meg. Those are speeds of internet. And so through my conversations, we've got about 60 locations in Manhattan that we're looking at, everywhere from the Manhattan Emergency Shelter and the Bread Basket, some city and county properties that we're looking at, USC 383, Habitat for Humanity, the Housing Authority, MART, Konza Prairie Community Health Center, Manhattan Free Clinic. There's about 200 and some out of bus stops in Manhattan, but we were able to just pull out the top 20 most used bus stops, and we're looking to get Wi-Fi there. So if you have a wait for your bus, you're able to maybe do some work or school or anything like that. So we've got to identify the locations. My engineer has to design this and figure out how do we get Wi-Fi there? How much is it going to cost? And then we put this all in the application. An individual application can ask for up to $1 million, and that is to pay for the stuff that makes Wi-Fi work. So if it's public Wi-Fi inside, it's going to pay for the flying saucer that's up in the ceiling. If it's outside, it's going to be an outside access point. They can pay for wiring, just the hardware, the physical things that are going to make that Wi-Fi work. The commitment from WTC, we will manage the installation of everything. We're going to maintain that equipment. So if it needs upgraded or updated, or it's not working in the park, whatever, we're going to be the company that maintains that at our expense. And then we're going to donate internet service to each one of these locations to make that work. So there's a significant amount of ongoing expense that WTC is going to donate and incur. this grant is gonna pay for the one-time cost to get that infrastructure in place. We've identified a few locations with the county that we feel like, would be good candidates for this public Wi-Fi. And I included them in the letter here, but talked to Julie Gibbs at the health department, and she felt like there could be a need at their main location in the Family and Child Resource Center. So if you're in there getting services and you need to then, get online to schedule an appointment or look up things that are available, having that public Wi-Fi that's not connected with county internet at all would be beneficial. And that's typically best practice. If you have strangers in your building, if they've got a completely separate network, they're not connecting back to you. That takes some liability away, from your IT staff trying to protect that private information that you have. I talked to Catherine Hensler, and she felt like at the historical museum, there's some opportunities. There's also some programming that she'd like to do in Pioneer Park, adjacent to the museum, that could benefit from Wi-Fi. And we went and looked at that this week, and we've got a plan that we could make Wi-Fi work for events. If they're doing interactive or learning opportunities, you'd have Wi-Fi. Seco Park, we've talked to USD 383 for the football field. We've talked to city for city assets, but is there also opportunities at Potter Hall or with the rodeo facility? Are there things there where it would make sense to have free public Wi-Fi? And then Fairmont Park, same thing. I mean, I know there's some Fairmont Park itself, as you know, is quite large, but are there some kind of isolated pockets where people tend to gather that could benefit from Wi-Fi? If that's where the dog parks are, I know where the parking's at. When you play disc golf or get onto the trail, there's a covered pavilion, I don't know what the right term is, but are there some areas in Fairmont Park that could benefit from this? So we've been working hard. We've got this list. We're getting everything put together. But what we need to know in short order is the county supportive of receiving this free Wi-Fi specifically on these areas that you all have control over? And then we need support. I need help from you all to do these walkthroughs and get a plan with your engineers or parks people or whoever that is, so that we can get it installed without any kind of barriers, whatever those would be. If we need to put something on a county pole, can we have you all tell us that we're allowed to do that? Can we get the permission to install this? I need moral support, a letter saying, hey, we're the county commission and this is great. And we support this. This is really great for our residents. And a strong application shows co-investment from the community. We're not going to know the total ask for another week or two, because we're still looking at numbers. I think extremely conservatively, this is at least $250,000 that we're going to be asking for. And I suspect it's going to be higher than that. There's a 10% cash match component to this, and we are talking to some partners in town. But if we could have any kind of donation from the county commission or from Riley County that shows, yes, we say this is important and we're going to put our money where our mouth is and show that this is important, that is going to make that application so much stronger. And I'm not asking for you to pay the 10%. WTC will put up some of that cash. We're talking to, Greater Community Foundation. Are there funds there that meet some of these goals? But, if there was any kind of funds that we could get from the county, that would just make this application really shine, I think. I feel like we've got a strong application already, but that co-investment is something, it's not required in this grant, but a lot of KOBD grants, they do actually require that, and that they take that into high consideration when they see that. So just went through a lot of stuff really fast, but what are your thoughts, questions, feelings on this?
Just so you're aware, I had Jeff come in here. We talked
right after Christmas, right before Christmas.
It's somewhere right
Somewhere
around
in that
yeah.
time frame. So he brought this up and I wanted to make sure it was on everybody else's radar. I think he's talked to you, Corey, in advance of that.
Talked to Gary, I haven't talked to anybody else.
Right, okay, yeah. And I had him reach out to several of the other people just to see if it would work. I don't know the logistics of some of this stuff, so when I'm hearing, at least, I don't know, maybe he hasn't had a chance to talk to you.
We talked this.
Okay. Seco Park probably still a little bit fluid at the moment, but I could see it working in Fairmont Park. I could see it working in a couple other areas. I mentioned the museum. I thought there would be some opportunities there. I've talked to Jada
Oh, yeah.
last summer about that, and she mentioned when these grants come up, that what Jeff's talking about, that having community support and community advancement on these things is very, very important to get them. And I mentioned $5,000 here. I personally think $5,000 investment here, we're going to get more than our $5,000 back over the course of time. So I think it's an investment worth doing.
So I did have a question. Are you making any inroads into going up further north into the county to some of the towns up in there, some infrastructure?
We've gotten some of our grants that we've got through some of the COVID money that's coming out to build out broadband. We built some around the lake that's beyond our footprint, and we did just recently. The last grant that we received, there's some areas adjacent to like Top of the World and out by the airport where we're not at that we're building to. But, you know, as far as like Pete's or Riley or those towns, those are things that we've looked at, but there's not any plans to share about that at this time. And they wouldn't, I mean, other towns in Riley County could qualify for this grant, but you know, they would need to partner with a provider that's there today.
It's already there.
That can make
Okay.
a commitment like we are, you know, to either donate all of this service and upkeep, or find a partner willing to write a big check to just, you know, pay for those services outright.
I think that's kind of Twin Valley.
That's Twin Valley.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but we're
There's others.
yeah, I mean, we're positioned well in Manhattan because we're the provider, and we're happy to donate those services. If it was in a town where we weren't, and we had to come up with those I mean, this is, you know, hundreds or thousands of dollars a month per location and free service. That if it was a cash donation, that would make that
Sure.
a little different. So, yeah, we're focused specifically in Manhattan.
John. Yeah, go ahead, Corey.
I would mention, we actually do provide a public Wi-Fi at health department and museum. But certainly it would be a case where we wouldn't have to handle that even more.
And I think over the course of time, you know, the contribution makes up for that.
Just like we do at all of our facilities where we've expanded to provide that public Wi-Fi. Where I have drawn the line is trying to provide it in the parks because of the coverage, the area that it needs to go to. We've had requests at Seco Park to try to help at fair time, wanting to know if we would provide, and we do not. At Potter Hall, there's Wi-Fi available and it gets used, but during the fair, we shut that down and don't make it available to the public anymore to make sure that we have adequate bandwidth for the extension staff when they go out there. Gotcha. There have been more requests as of recent of the vendors that go out there during fair time for what they probably are presuming want to do for presentations or things that they're doing. And then there have been other events that have come up that have been a request. Do we have Wi-Fi? Is it available? And we've said no. So I know that Seco Park is one where events go on and gets used. That we have ourselves had to come through and say no. Gary with WTC has contacted and said, hey, if we put something temporary, could we hang something on a pole or a building? And I said, if we get to that point, yeah, I know we could work with them, but then some of those things just didn't play out based on some logistics of where service would be brought from. So this is a direction in short run. So this is the direction that needs to happen because of more events that are trying to be done in areas that we have and where we need to. So we're certainly supportive of it because in the last 2 years, we've expanded our public Wi-Fi so much to support, what's going on in the county and their needs as well. So wanted to let you know and put that out. So I know that Jeff and I did not actually get to talk, schedules didn't match and things of what was going on, but I do want to let you know, it's fully there. And like I said, if you want to, if they have the ability to provide public Wi-Fi where we already are, then that would certainly be something we could not have to support anymore on our systems.
Right, and I think, we're not trying to replace anything that you're doing, it just lets Corey deal with employees and, the things that he really needs to deal with, and then this takes the public burden and shifts it over to us.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, so we're supportive and with you and willing to assist in however we can do.
Yeah, great, thank you.
I believe we have a few dollars in Eco Devo.
That's where I was thinking,
Yeah.
we might get out of there.
Because to me, I think overall, that's kind of what this is at this point in time, and I think you'll get more than that $5,000 investment over the course of time for it, and I just think that's.
Myself, I'm
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
Like I said, I'm sure people.
Yeah.
And would it be available out, not just in the building, but outside?
Yeah.
of it?
Yeah, so-
Or the,
Yep.
kind of,
Yeah.
So
not through the fairgrounds, but through the vendor and all that.
Yeah, so the grant, it just says public Wi-Fi and it doesn't define if that's indoors or outdoors. So that's something that what we've come up with already is a combination of both, but that's something, if there's desire for us to move forward with this very quickly, I need my installers to get with Corey or Public Works or someone to walk through these locations specifically and say, okay, here's the areas that are important for us to cover. Seco Park, Fairmont Park, we're not gonna be able to cover every inch of every acre, but if we can identify the fairgrounds, this is where people are at, we need to cover
I'd
this.
say, not just in Potter, but
Right.
the whole
Yeah.
area.
The whole Potter Hall, Seco Park, the football field, the track, the pool, that whole area has had various requests based on what event was going on and increasing requests in the last year or 2 years. And so when you look at that area and the variety of things that go on, ball games on the ball field, baseball, softball fields, the dog park, the track, football field, the pool, and then in return, the Potter Hall and the use of that, there was recently a cattle drive event or something.
There's about 10 or 12
Yeah.
different livestock
Yeah.
events out there all
Yeah.
the time each
Right,
year.
and they're wanting to try to live stream, they're wanting to try to show those things and love to be able to help them, but
How beneficial would that have been during the pandemic when we had,
Oh, yeah.
vaccine clinics out there for,
Right, everybody
Yeah,
sitting around.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead.
How much of other local public partners decided to contribute?
We don't have any commitments yet. We've got lots of asks out there, but because of how this grant is coming together, a lot of people want to know what's that 10% match going to be. I've got a meeting later today with a few other partners. The city was not in a position to act quickly enough to respond to a cash request, but we're going to get some other donations as well.
City should
You
be.
talked about K-State being involved in this too.
City should be. Yeah.
Good.
because of the timing issues, we haven't been able to make anything work with K-State. We're still gonna ask for support of some kind, because I think there's a compelling argument to make that this is gonna benefit students at K-State, right?
Yeah.
In the city too.
What about 383? I mean, I'm really thinking of Seco Park as a whole, you know, there's so many events
Yeah.
out there. You'd think all three of those partners would have an interest, but
Right.
I agree with the commissioners, economic development, 5,000, we can't do it ourselves for
Right.
that. So that's nuts not to.
Yeah, but you know, the city, we do have locations that we're gonna work with the city. They're gonna help us in other ways besides financially. But with Seco Park specifically, if you all say yes, I mean, we've got 383 on board, we've got the city on board, we've got the county, so we're kind of, you know, we're working with everybody that has an interest in the park, and when we plug in the pieces for what you want covered, you guys are looking at Seco Park for your puzzle piece that you control, but we now can look at it as a whole and make sure there's coverage for all three partners where they need it. So we're gonna be positioned well to, from a end user standpoint, it's not city, county, 383, it's just, here's the park and here's the areas where the Wi-Fi works. So it'll be great from that perspective. And I know there's lots of plans and hopes and dreams for that park someday. Getting this infrastructure in place as things get shifted or enhanced over the years, having the infrastructure to the park, as long as we can work with everyone as they plan what's going to happen there, we can shift those assets around as the park gets upgraded, if or when it does. So it's going to work well.
Here's a guy we can put some pressure on.
Yeah.
I'm sure he brought his checkbook.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I have the economic fund we have is earmarked rural economic development. Can we justify a commitment of,
No, our fund is just economic development.
It's all of Riley County.
For all
It's all of Riley
all
County.
of Riley
All
County?
Riley.
Okay, I thought it said it was rural.
I mean, you could use it on
We
the
use
rural
it
side,
for
but
specific rural stuff.
Yeah,
But if you think about it, the fair is somewhat
It's rural,
rural,
yeah.
and it's some of the events that go on there bring members of the rural community into Seco Park for those events. And so, I mean, there's a mixture of things there, but I don't think if we tried to do something on our own,
oh, no, we couldn't.
we couldn't do it for that. We couldn't do it for that price, and we couldn't do it with probably help from the state at this point in time on it. I mean, this is just, to me, this is just a no brainer.
So we're talking 5,000, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
I don't have a problem.
Guess you want to do more.
We'll start with 5 and see where it goes. I mean, I think everybody knows where I stand on broadband. I've been pretty much open about that for years. So, but I think this is a good investment at this point in time. It shores up some things, and I think there's some other options available. And we've talked about the new EMS station. You know, it's going in that same kind of corridor in that location there too. And what that, I mean, I don't think the headquarters is going to be quite as public facing as maybe the health department or the museum, obviously, but how does that work maybe behind the scenes potentially or something too, so.
Yeah, and we've been around since 1912.
Yeah.
We've been great community partners for a long time. And if this grant comes and goes and there's an opportunity next year that pops up where we need public Wi-Fi somewhere, let's talk and figure it out. I mean, we're in this for the long haul and for the benefit of Manhattan and Riley County. So with or without a grant, we're gonna be here for you.
Well, I'm good with that, and I think you said you needed a letter of support too, is that right?
That would be very helpful to have to
I think
include.
we can get Clancy. We've already drafted one in the past for you, so we could use something similar if you just get the information that you need and then over to us.
Yeah.
We'll put that on the business meeting for commissioner, if that's okay.
Yeah.
And then for the letter and for and where it'll come from and all that.
Okay.
5,000.
Put it
On the next meeting, on business meeting.
So,
Okay,
come up early on Monday.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, that's great. What else for me? Anything? Who is the best county employee I should have my service department team work with to do these walkthroughs.
Well, they're arguing about it over there.
Pointing at each other.
It's Corey Meyer and John Ellerman.
Hey, I got their numbers.
Yes.
Okay,
John knows where the buildings are, where all the IT stuff is. Corey knows.
yeah, okay, well, we're gonna, is it okay if we, even this week, start working on that without the formal Monday meeting happening? Okay.
Yeah, well, it'll get
You're on a
done.
tight
It'll get
timeframe,
done.
as most
Yeah.
of these grants are, so yeah.
Yeah, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, have a good day.
You too.
What do you guys doing?
Hey, Darren,
Good.
we're doing good.
Doing good.
How's it wrong?
Hey.
Cold enough for you?
It is, I enjoyed yesterday's.
Yeah,
Yeah, isn't it? How a 50-degree swing makes you feel, you know? It's kind
I
of
actually
balmy
walked
out.
outside in shorts yesterday and it kind of felt nice.
Yeah. Nuts.
Looking forward to those 40s next day.
Yeah, unfortunately, we got starting tonight for 2 days. Again, -12 tonight
Saw that.
without the wind chill.
Oh,
Without the wind chill.
Well, you know, if it helps, I seen a picture from someplace up in Alaska and it was -74.
ah,
So
Yeah,
could be worse.
it's Alaska. It's supposed to be.
it's Alaska, yeah.
And if you haven't noticed, we haven't seen any mosquitoes.
Yeah, it's because no one's been outside.
All they need to have the mosquitoes.
The guy this morning was talking about it, though, we didn't set any record lows
Mhm.
this last week.
Even that Chiefs game was like the fourth coldest, you know, yeah, it was like the fourth coldest in the NFL.
He did say this, they set a Sunday, set a record for the lowest high. The high was -1. The previous record was 0 for the high of it. See, that's the only record.
Did you see
low
that-
records with the lowest high?
Did you see the video? They were pulling balls of smart water out of the cooler, saying that they were keeping them in the cooler to keep them warm. They were pulling them
Keep
out
it from
and they were-
freezing.
They were actually freezing as soon as you took them out. You could see them freezing. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got, you see the picture, that somebody took a picture of when that guy hit, Mahomes,
Yeah.
and the piece coming out of it.
Mhm. Saw that.
It was actually I think the girl that graduated from K-State worked for the Kansas City
Somebody
Star.
worked with a
Yeah.
star, had that picture, that was amazing.
Couldn't believe it went viral. And then I can't remember the helmet, but it made the helmet said that that's exactly what the helmet's supposed to do.
Of course they would say
Well,
that.
yeah. Because the quarterback's helmet is developed differently because they've got the communication stuff and stuff in there. And
Yeah, we build them so they'll break.
Right.
Right. It's a good sales pitch.
I guess.
I didn't hear, because I didn't, and also talking about watching it, well, I'm not gonna pay to watch it. I just read something. this morning
23 million
that
people
It was the largest streaming service.
event ever.
Yeah, it was, but they still lost how many viewers they were saying compared to typical.
Well, they had still on regular cable, they still had 4.5 million.
Because in Kansas City,
Yeah.
Miami, you could. still watch it on-
KS HB 41.
Because I'm saying how many viewers they lost because it was pay-per-view as well. It may have been the largest streaming, but still, yeah.
But when you think in terms of dollars and cents,
It's
it- yeah.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying.
Sir,
You guys talking about the Chiefs?
Uh-huh.
Our usage was up our internet usage for our 11,000 customers was up more than 50% just during that Chiefs game, just from people streaming it. We
I
knew
hate
we
to
were
say
gonna
it,
get a bump,
that's-
but it was larger than we expected.
Yeah.
It was.
I don't like it, but that's.
I was
the direction
protesting
it's
it all the
going.
way, but I
We're gonna
still
have to
did it.
Accept it at some point.
No,
Yeah.
we didn't.
We went,
I just hope the quality of that stuff, like ESPN Plus gets better and then maybe it makes a little more sense, you know, but
they need.
you got announcers on there that are like every other sentence, they're just sitting there laughing. It's
Yeah,
just, it's just so.
Yeah.
I used to say, like,
Yeah.
they're broadcasting so many games, they've got some announcers that don't need to be there.
Well, they're not, they're actually at home on Zoom.
Even right there. Don't put it.
Yeah.
Well, it's like they're trying to test the model like with big boxing matches and stuff like that, you know, the big
Big
hyped
pay-per-view.
up match, you know, bouts are, you gotta pay for it as a pay-per-view, and then there's replay of it later. It's like almost to test the waters to see how much money.
See how much they can get.
Yeah, yeah.
I know, we went to Sinkers and spent $50 at Sinkers to watch it, because out of principle, I wasn't gonna pay $6 a night. So
You guys are so funny like that, aren't we?
I hope they learned a lesson.
But the good news is you invested some money in a small bit
Yeah.
community business. That's worth it, yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, take care.
I saw something like that on, somebody was posted that saying that people are protesting by spending money at the restaurants to watch it instead of paying them.
If I'm a restaurant owner, I say, bring it on.
Yeah, no doubt.
Well, the helmet thing was funny, right? Because that's the only game that's on. So you have all the NFL.
Well, I tend to, I believe in a conspiracy theory on this, that they chose that game to make sure that all the Swifties had to pay the $6 to watch the game so they could see Taylor Swift on there.
No doubt.
That's my theory.
But my thought is like, how is it 3 plays later that they're like, oh, wait a minute, you're home? You got all of NFL and everybody in our broadcast, everything else watching. How did they let it go till 3 plays later? Like, it's not like there was 8 games going on at one time.
No.
It was the one. Like, it was.
Yeah, and I didn't watch it here. Did they get charged for helmet to helmet?
No.
No.
And they
Didn't they make him go off the field? Didn't
Yeah.
take a timeout?
Nothing.
Anything?
I mean, it was.
They were all talking about that.
All the rules.
You're supposed to sit out a player and get time
I
out.
mean, that was pretty
Yeah,
obvious.
there wasn't helmet to helmet contact called, nothing.
Well,
I think the refs are just like, let's get this over with. It's cold for us
it's
too.
cold.
Yeah. Well, it's 11 o'clock, Ron, so I don't know how you're gonna top that conversation, but
Well, you know,
I'll give it a go.
I heard some interesting conversation about 4 field goals.
Uh-huh.
I wondered whether there was any extra padding in the kicker's foot because they said it was comparable to kicking a
rock.
concrete wall.
Yeah.
You know, so that was
Hmm.
that was kind of interesting. Well, good morning. Glad to be down. Happy New Year.
Yes.
We've worked to reschedule this, just thought I'd run through some highlights for the year, and this first handout here is just some of the significant projects we've got scheduled. A lot of them are continuing projects that have been going on. Those first 2, I've got some slides on later, so I'm gonna bypass those for now. The levee construction is continuing. We do anticipate that most of the work to be substantially complete by the end of the summer. The target for Hayes Drive opening back up is late March. So
I get a lot of
obviously
questions.
things, we have weather events like we've been having that will impact those aspects somewhat, but all in all, the levee project's been going really well. There will be a future phase for the railroad gap. So this is the Union Pacific line as it goes through the levee there by the Blue River where the boat ramp is. Currently, our methodology for flood fight there is to sandbag that gap. Takes quite a while to do that, and a lot of people, a lot of resources. So the design is to actually come with some mechanical logs that work with a little small crane that we would store nearby. It's easier, quicker, obviously, less people involved, and it's better for the railroad because we can undo it quicker too. Once we sandbag that gap closed, we're not gonna be anxious to open it back up anytime soon. So that'll be a separate project. The Corps is requesting some additional funds from Congress on that particular project. So I would anticipate another year or 2 out from this project completing, that'll get started. There is some work down on the west end of the levee, down to the west of South Manhattan Avenue. The levee extends there. It starts to taper out as you get down to about 15th and 16th Street. There's some work there that we want to do in conjunction with that. Maybe eliminate one of those through roads and try that access back in. There's fairly limited access back in that particular area, but that was something during the 93 flood that illustrated that could be a weak point for the water to come back in on that side. So
That's one of the areas that will be improved with this particular project as well. East Manhattan Gateway Plan, US 24, so this is really, looking at the McCall Triangle existing on this side of the river, looking at that commercial stretch along Highway 24, heritage that we have, as well as all the way out to beyond even Lake Elbow Road, and then just that whole Blue Township area for the future. That plan is really going to be all this year and into next year, a master planning process that also identifies, some of the key issues with our infrastructure, traffic, zoning, all kinds of issues. It's kind of I would say it's more than a comprehensive plan update. It's a very detailed comprehensive plan element to really look at, here's some issues. Here's some options for solving some of those issues, and how do you want to prioritize those? Scorpius, I do anticipate, we have heard that they're starting to get some of their plans together, and we're hopeful that we'll see some activity from them this quarter, potentially, as far as agreements, and at least probably the first 2 quarters of this year before there's any, and maybe a summer groundbreaking on their particular site. So obviously they're restructuring, looking at more of a campus and looking more at an initial phase to their project. But my understanding is they're getting closer, obviously, with the inflation that's happened, and their development partners that they're looking for in the building, and all of those aspects are starting to look like they're coming together very well. We do have a fire department site out there that we have purchased, and obviously likely won't do any construction there until obviously we know Scorpion's under construction. So that would be how that works. Move MHK is a kind of a new master plan, and bringing together all older plans and a strategic plan for Parks and Recreation, looking at different aspects of our system and how what the priorities are for that. We've had some discussion about indoor water and school district, lots of particular desires there by the community. So that's something that will be happening the first half of this year. So more to come on that particular one. And then Seco Park, with the bond issue that we had, we'll be looking at specific improvements, and obviously want to keep you all informed on how that might impact any county property involved with that as well. You might recall we did a pay-as-you-go on that sales tax. So we did the 2 rec centers first, as well as some of the trail. There's some trail money in there, and then there was about $8 billion of the original estimate that was allocated for Seco Park renovations for the baseball field. That particular aspect of things. A lot of inflation's happened since then. It's not generating as much revenue. That revenue isn't buying as much as it did originally. So that's part of the issues that we're looking at as they do some preliminary design on some of those facilities, and how far will those funds go? Do we need to adjust that or come up with additional revenue solutions for that? So that's something that'll certainly be in the news and in discussion here this first quarter, first half of the year. The downtown area, obviously the Beyond Tomorrow plan that updated you on before, that's coming to an ending point. Actually, the work session next week, February 13th is the work session for that draft plan to be presented to the city commission. So that's of interest to you. You might want to tune into that one. We're also continuing to work with the Manhattan Housing Authorities and their partners on that Fifth and Pierre affordable senior housing lot project. They've were successful on their first application for tax credits, but they've reapplied. So they should find out within the first half of this year, I think, whether they'll be successful. We extended our
pre-development agreement with them to keep the possibilities of utilizing some portion of that parking lot for that project alive. Wareham Hall, I think you've been familiar with that. My understanding is they're looking at proceeding.
They're about a little over halfway on the fundraising.
Fundraising, I
That's
think
amazing.
it is.
Yeah.
So
That's a
that
$10
I know they've
million
been talking
project and they've got over 5 already.
to neighbors
Yeah.
about construction lots and where to store stuff. That's always fun
Yeah.
in the downtown area. So I'm sure as a neighbor, they've been back with you or will be. The Museum of Art and Light is going well. They're looking, I think, at a fall opening for their facility. The commission Tuesday night awarded a contract to Organic. They're a company based at Fort Riley. They're all over the country. They do a lot of defense contracting, but they have a concrete and street crew that bid this Houston Street project. It's about a little over 3 million. So as we redone a lot of the other major streets down here, you might recall the Art and Light Museum built over the alley, so we had to relocate the sewer and some of the other utilities around the block and down Houston Street, and that's why that hasn't been repaired. We've been waiting for this project to come along and fix that permanently. Plus, we're gonna improve the 300 and 400 blocks of Houston to be similar to the other blocks. Streetscaping, additional utility work at 4th Street. We're gonna do pedestrian bulb outs at the intersection, so there's safer for pedestrians to cross there and slow folks down on the street. So that project will likely get underway later this year. Again, they just awarded it, so I would think maybe as the weather improves, we have engaged with some other firms to do some additional community communication with businesses in the downtown areas. That construction process starts up because it does create some inconveniences along the way, and coordinating with those adjacent businesses and other businesses and other traffic with GNET downtown and other places. The economic development and workforce housing policies and initiatives. We are scheduled to have a work session next Tuesday to present to the commission some concepts on both of those particular items and re-looking at our various policies. Of course, workforce housing was one of those sales tax items that would generate some funds, and how best to work with that. We're starting to hear from developers that would like to access some of the state programs and how might our local programs work with that. Obviously, some of those involves other units of governments, such as yourself. So that's something that we'll certainly be visiting with you all about as well. And I'm sure they probably will be of it as well. So more to come on that one. And then if you want to turn to the next page, I've got some Aggieville updates. The commission at the end of in December finalized some contracts, and so I start out there to show that original community vision that was struck that was essentially keeps Morrow Street the same. That's the colored in the middle there for the most part, and then increases the density surround there. This one shows a lot of density, obviously, and that's not something we've accomplished, but we did build the parking structure there at Morrow or at Manhattan and Laramie Street. And then Chen's also upgraded the density on their project across the street at 14th and Laramie. You got this Midtown project that's proposed here in Aggieville, and actually those were the agreements that were amended and entered into. And this next slide just kind of shows you those two purple boxes. The building 1 is the original Midtown project there on the city's former city parking lot. And then building 2 was the new proposal for a new hotel and another parking structure, a private parking structure that would be dedicated half to private use and half to public use. The next page then kind of shows an aerial perspective of what that roughly might look like. So that's the Midtown, the hotel, and the parking garage, and how it relates to
some of the aspects and obviously you can kind of see some of that density that was envisioned in the original downtown visioning project. And then the next slide, the last one on Aggieville, just kind of shows a rendering. If you were on the southwest corner of Laramie and 12th Street, actually there's buildings there, and there's we're not planning to do anything with those, but obviously the architects were trying to show an effect there. The Midtown building on the left really hasn't changed much from what they originally proposed. It's a 5-story building. The only thing they did change is the top floor, which was proposed to be commercial, is now going to be high-end residential rentals. So all total, it's a mix of about 60,000 square feet of office, 26,000 square feet of retail, 23,000 square feet of residential, and then about 9,000 square feet of public space. You might recall there's a kind of second, third, maybe even 4-story plaza that's overhung on that being the northeast corner of that building as it faces onto 12th Street. So, and then the new proposal that was brought forward was the Hampton Inn by Hilton, 108-room hotel, as well as then the private and public parking garage that would have about 500 stalls split between public use and private use. So exciting, all told, that's around $100 million in private investment. And so we think we're excited about that. That will certainly have a major impact on the TIF and will help us pay for the Laramie Street improvements that are needed. We're going to revisit the 12th Street improvements between Laramie and Morrow. You might recall we had done through a process where there was originally quite a bit of support for closing that off to be a pedestrian area completely. That's an area that the Aggieville Business Association, as well as the developer, would like to revisit and maybe have it be more like north of Morrow on 12th Street, where we can put bollards up and close it off for special events, but have it open to traffic. So that's something that is going to be revisited, and you'll probably hear about some of those agreements to re-engage with the consultants on that particular project. Obviously, the Back 9 team has come together with BHS Construction, Olson, Walker Consulting, who specialize in garages and Hospitality One for the Hampton Inn. So as they firm those all down, kind of the schedule going forward would be to restart the Midtown building. Obviously, they spent about $10 million on that site already. All the footings are in on that particular spot. And so we see that happening probably in May, waiting for the weather to clear up a little bit for that. And then that'll be some of that construction and looking at really into 26, spring of 26 before that's done. That will be followed on this fall by the hotel and parking garage starting. There's the alley improvements between 11th and 12th on that north side alley between Laramie and Morrow. Obviously, that was a big issue where we had to close the alley down because we're putting utilities underground, all the overhead Evergy wires, plus utility improvements and upgrades. Infrastructure is all part of this process to upgrade our water and sanitary sewer lines as well. Gas lines, all of that gets put in place. So more construction to come, and certainly excited about those opportunities. The last slide on Dennison and Kimball construction. Obviously, our plan to try to get this little water line, actually it's a very big water line, relocation done over the break. Mother Nature has impacted that. It's about 2 weeks behind schedule. They've got the bulk of the work done. They're looking at favorable times to put some flowable fill back in the holes. They're making a few tie-ins yet on some fire hydrants and a smaller line. And so that work, we're probably a couple of weeks away from reopening Dennison. there'll be some temporary patches, just like we're making into a lot of potholes that are starting to show up, around town until, it'll be a while before, we get, to hot asphalt again, that we can do permanent, patches. But that section of Denison next to the intersection is scheduled to be, reconstructed following graduation. So the kind of the timeline for this is going to be, this illustration shows you 7 lanes on each leg of the intersection. It'll be the largest intersection in town. The signals are going to be a big diagonal across, like you see in some of the larger cities, to be able to hold that kind of framework. So the work right now is going on that North Denison leg. Ebert's working on that. The goal is to try and get that done before summer. And then that back frontage road constructed, and they're making good progress on it. So the fire department can exit and go that way to go west, and then back in there by Green Science. While the Kimball will close west of the intersection after the KU gate is the plan. So they'll get a jump start on that work. The intersection will close after, and that north part, or the south leg of Denison, but north of the MDAP entrance. So from Kimball to the MDAP, half of the MDAP entrance, that will close after graduation in May. And then that'll be closed till football starts back in late August is the plan. But school starts back up. Have to have all the paving done, so at least the roadway can be open, or mostly open, to have that. This is the last big piece of all of the improvements that have been done out there, and so hopefully our weather will cooperate and we don't have a lot of surprises. So that's kind of it in a nutshell. Happy to answer any questions. The other thing the commission is going to be doing is starting a recruitment process for my replacement. So the commission did talk about that here Tuesday night, and then give direction to hire a professional firm to oversee that. And so we'll be hearing more about that. I haven't penciled my last day, but still shooting for mid-April.
You've got it on the calendar somewhere. We know you do. You're marked.
I have that week.
Okay.
Yes.
Coincide with your first fishing trip?
Yeah.
Actually, not quite. Close.
Enjoy
Gonna
it.
take a pre-trip.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, thank you.
Our trip overseas to see the kids.
We are.
Okay.
One that you mentioned from time to time, but Juliet, South of Points, is that anything ever?
Yeah, so actually,
Roller coaster.
we were successful in the grant that we got. You might remember there was some publicity. The governor actually came and made an announcement on that particular site, and the KDOT secretary, it's under design right now. So basically, I don't think the grant was for this next fiscal year, so that would start in July. So the design's going on right now, which we're working on. So that will improve Juliet from Points all the way to Pierre Street. So 2 blocks, restore it all back to brick, and then at the school at Pierre, permanent bulb outs versus the paintings and the cones that are now better there. So I would anticipate and hopeful that, I know the commission just approved the easements for that in December. Acquisition, there's a little bit of construction easement, temporary easements we needed for that project. So assuming the KDOT grant comes through like it's envisioned, I would think that would go out to bid this summer and start construction shortly after that, after July. That's the hope.
Speaking of the intersection and area, congratulations on the bike award that we just won.
Yeah, so that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
And the North Manhattan
Yeah.
project in Aggieville that has the dedicated bike lane, Sherrill Lane. That's more than a Sherrill. It's a dedicated bike lane from Fremont all the way to Anderson, Bluemont intersection, and then it's getting part of the construction that's going on now on North Manhattan is the extending that at least one more block, and it ties into the campus network of bikeways. So obviously the weather has slowed that project down considerably. The other project that we'll pick back up here probably late February is Fremont Street. So we're done with Fremont Street from 11th to 12th. That'll be an access into Aggieville, but the next section will be 12th to 14th. I'm not sure whether they're gonna do all of that in one swoop or go 12th to Manhattan and then Manhattan to 14th. But that's all been awarded. They pulled off for the winter.
Gotcha.
And that's replacing a large water line that helps feed some of that perimeter as well as stormwater.
Pretty nice swoop in the middle of that road right now.
Yeah, there is.
Down to the two, yeah.
And Ron, if it would help you anytime, if you want to get this over, we can always put it in the packet too. If it
Oh,
would Make
okay.
it easier
Yep.
for you. We'd be glad to put it in there for you. That way we can just scroll through it.
Well, I hope you'll have me back at least once. I think we've got a tentative date in March, so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And then for your predecessors.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ron. Have a good weekend. 11:30 commissioners, we have Shelley Woodard.
Did the Chiefs get it done over the weekend?
When they play? When they play?
Sunday afternoon, I think.
I don't know. You know, with
Buffalo's
this
my
team.
dark horse.
I don't know with this team. I'm just not that confident in them. I figured Miami because the cold weather had shut Miami down, so I kind of figured that.
Buffalo, it's not supposed to be as cold as it keeps talking more the pile of
Yeah.
snow.
Pretty bad when the governor shuts everything down and says, nope, you're not playing. There's that video of the guy. They had slides or something and they were emptying out the stadium and basically putting it on the field. And
I
then
saw
they-
the slides.
Yeah, taking it off the field and put it in trucks and trucking it out. And there's one kid, I'm sure happy hour started a little early there, was shirtless and was sliding down the slide with the snow. And I'm like, only in Buffalo, only in Buffalo. Their fans are unique. We'll say unique.
Did you see the shirtless people at the Chiefs game? It
That's
was
like
like,
somebody said, shirtless people, before the last of the game, they should be checked for DUI.
I hope they had plenty of antifreeze.
Had plenty of antifreeze.
Lots of antifreeze. They had to pour the antifreeze on them. I know. That's too cold for me. I just it don't work. That dog don't.
You saw some, folks in on some, like the one lady in particular, I remember my wife, there were two of them. And they did not look like they were enjoying being there. They were bundled up. They did not look like they were having fun.
A buddy of mine actually called me Friday and he's like, what do you think about getting tickets and going to Kansas City to the game? I said, how much are the tickets? $55. And I said, well, how much is parking? That'd probably be about 40 or something. I said, $100, sit out and go, nah.
Yeah.
No, are they gonna pay me?
Yeah.
I'm sitting there like,
$8 beers, obviously frozen slushy. Nah. we're
Yeah,
good.
I wouldn't have
We're
paid to see
good.
that.
I don't know what's here down, but when was the son, and he had some kind of a sign that got posted.
Okay, really?
What, I can't remember what it was, I'm trying to get the sign that was under the Times, got on TV and he's on TV and cheerleaders came over and spit posed in front of it.
Nice. Mini viral thing.
Yeah. I can't remember how much the sign said. But again, didn't pay to watch it.
Yeah, I didn't either. I tried to get online to see if I could maybe stream it off the Kansas City station, but it didn't come out this far. So.
Yeah, I tried
Yeah.
to see it.
Yeah. Oh, no, hey. I got something out there, like,
Yeah. We had a credit card or something.
I could have gone, but didn't see them. I don't even know what you have to pay me to go. I know that I had beer trauma around over there, so no. It's so cool. Yeah.
The first time I opened the blinds up in my office, it's kind of nice. The windows, I don't think have been cleaned in like 80 years.
Natural light. The alley.
Yeah.
You can't see through on there. It looks like there's frosted glass, but I think it's just theirs.
There's some spiders living in there or something, cobwebs. We need to get maintenance to get on that.
Well, there's a reason they don't get cleaned. If you push on them, they'll fall out.
Oh, and never mind request
Huh?
taken back.
Windows?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't touch them.
Request taken back then. Okay.
Yeah,
I was gonna like take a duster or something or blow on them, but I guess I'm better.
Some have fallen out on their own, so we don't dare touch them.
Is that an easy way to get new windows though? Cause
What I understand is not gonna be easy, but maybe easy, but they're not gonna be cheap.
cheap, yeah, that last part's the key. Okay, Shelley, you're up.
All right, this shouldn't take too long. This is just, it's that time of year, we're working on a tax sale and this is the resolution that, has the Board of County Commissioners, direct county counselor's office to do what we've got to do to get that tax sale. I'm here and happy to answer any questions about it that you might have.
Did you come up with a date for the tax sale yet? It's usually in June.
Yes, it should be the fourth, Thursday of June, which don't hold me that I believe it's like the 28th. Ish.
Yep. That'd be Friday the
We were just
28th.
talking about that. So we're gonna, assuming that you guys approve this, then we plan on filing the petition with the court on next Friday.
Okay.
So, and started that ball open, you know, we'll have to send out notices to everybody, we'll have to publish, we've got to try to find as many people as we can find, you know, the gift that we do every single year. Try to stay on the same schedule.
Right, I would make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing real estate tax foreclosure sale.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the resolution authorizing the real estate tax foreclosure sale. All those in favor?
Aye.
All three sign, please.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thanks, Shelley. Next, Commissioner, I'm up, last item on the election assistant positions.
Okay.
You get a minute, section. Look at your schedule for pre-bid meeting for your room upstairs.
I'll be here that whole day.
The 30th, wait, would be about the time they would do it before. I think we kind of tentatively scheduled the 15th to open bids.
Yep, no problem. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere, unfortunately.
No, me neither, probably.
Huh?
Me neither, probably.
Yeah, I'd like to see the new space that got finished.
Here? Yeah, it's on, once we get it rearranged, as I told Anita, I said, we'll get it all done and everything rearranged, because they're cleaning up, they're running some wires, they got electricians got to come back and finish a little wiring, and get it reorganized. We'll just give you guys a little
Good.
dollar tour.
I was here for something the other day and I keep going.
Yeah, Anita said you poked your head in.
And I saw the door was open, so I went down and poked the head in and looked around. It's amazing how much room.
There's so much room was wasted in that hall.
Well, it wasn't a
hallway.
Taking out.
7 foot by about 20 foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot
That's a
of
lot of
Yeah,
space.
but opening it up, I mean, it looks
so much
it's
more
big.
functional and secure and
Yeah.
yeah. For
And she
sure.
showed me her new office.
Yeah, I told Anita, you have the biggest office of the county now.
That's funny.
She goes, about time.
Oh,
Yeah,
I don't
it's,
know if you want, I say that hearing for that House bill on that.
yeah. Oh, yeah.
They start out they have some that called the revisor, which reads, reviews over the, tells them it's this, it includes this, but that includes, it goes on through them. And when she's done, and they had questions, and Senator Holland, he has pretty, but he said, is it constitutional? We have a constitutional right to create different classes of people for property taxes. And she was going, well, it should, we think. And finally, at one point, she said, well, the Supreme Court will make that final decision.
Oh, gosh.
Oh, no, yeah, I was thinking that there was probably that.
She said, well, there's precedent here, but that might be interpreted this way. It might, finally, he might, the Supreme Court will be the ones to decide. Well, you ought to cite for you path it.
Right.
But that was, she went on, like I say, they had an hour, but she went on, well, quite, and there were some others had some, and then another Senator Blassie, I think his name, from Wichita. Great, he's must be pretty new, he's pretty young, didn't look old enough to be a senator, but that's my own age. But he asked, he said, well, how many tax exemptions do we have right now? Do you have, can you give us a list of what all the tax exemptions are? And she goes, no, just there's one available, but no, I couldn't give you a quick review.
You wouldn't be able to get it done in an hour, that's for sure.
Not a quick review of it, just I can have one, I can get a copy to you. And
It's the number one problem with our tax policy.
yeah,
Yeah,
and then Reddy asked, is there other states that have similar things? And she said she didn't know, she thought there were some that did.
I think there are.
Yeah.
Well, and Proctor gets into that next. Then, something he said, and then there was another senator said something about this KAC, said they hadn't run the numbers of what this cost, what the cost of this would be. And so she went on for quite a while, if their questions was quite a bit of, they had it, well, they didn't have an hour, so they had 45 minutes. And like I say, they combining two of them into one, it didn't work. So then Proctor got up to make his spiel for it. He talked quite a bit. And he said 18 states have similar exemptions. His version is similar, well,
somewhere is what it
his
is.
relation to facts is not always.
You can say also said we supported him before he ever talked to us.
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah, no, I talked to the Leavenworth County people there and they said, oh yeah, in November, he said he talked to you guys and you and Gary County were both on it. And I said, he didn't talk to us till December and he invited us himself to a meeting and printed it in the paper that we invited him. And they gave a list of other things. Actually, he's factually challenged sometimes.
Challenge. I like that try. Pretty good. I mean, steal. Yeah, I'm gonna steal that. I am gonna steal that. Without attribution, you're not gonna get credit.
And then he talked about the fact, he said there's 102 of the counties, it would be 1.7% of their revenue or less. So it doesn't matter to them. We don't need to fix them. But the three, Leavenworth, Riley, Gary. And he said Gary's at 19% that they lose revenue. He seems a little high. And then Riley and Leavenworth about 6 or 7%. And that they'd be, anything over 3%, the state would be, and we've got it in there that if we ever quit paying that back, then they'd lose their exemption. So it's not, and nobody believes. But it's an amendment that hasn't been approved.
Right. And I've talked to Representative Dotson about that. And my question is, if it requires an amendment, why don't you just have it in the bill to begin with? Why does it require an amendment? That's the question I have about that.
That's the representatives last year without the.
Right.
And so now he's trying to adjust it. To get up there and speak against veterans in a room, because Proctor pulled them in. There's a whole room full of veterans there. It's going to be tough to get up, but I've got my things to say.
Okay. Well, yeah.
But, and they did, and then Holland questioned him and he said, are you familiar with bills, with two different bills? And Proctor was, well, because there's a homestead.
Yeah, we have a homestead tax exemption right now. We do them in our office.
The tax exemption for seniors, and it was expanded to disabled veterans, that there's a limit of $700 on it. But there's another one. There's the homestead, there's a property tax relief portion of it, and then there's a safe seniors thing. And he said, and that expands, there isn't a limit, because he brought that up and Paul brought it up. And he said, well, but that says $700. Is no, the other acts, there's these two bills, they expanded to cover other things. He said, well, just because it's a bill, we said, it's not just a bill, we passed it. This committee passed it 2 years ago and pushed it through both houses. It has been, and we created and passed it, and it does expand it to cover it. Proctor was going, I don't know, but you know, like I said, Colin was pretty good. He didn't let anybody
Yeah,
off.
good.
Well, he's been there for like 30
Yeah.
years or something. So yeah, if anybody would know, it probably would be, and that makes sense.
And he got after him pretty good. Then, and he had some other questions for him. Then one Senator Peterson, where he's from, said, well, will this affect BRAC? Will this make us look better the next time BRAC comes if we're treating veterans better? And of course, like, oh, yeah, we need to do that. No.
But you know, that only affects one installation, and that's Fort Riley. So
Mhm.
I did. And then one guy said, oh, well, I'm sure it'd raise our taxes, but I'm sure I'd pay extra taxes if they could give a discount to disabled veterans.
until you see what that bill is, I
No,
mean, it's
it's,
anywhere from
I know.
1.6 to
Well-
3.5 million total.
And Proctor said the cost of this bill was only going to be it's going to be a $9 million cost only. But did you see those numbers that Leavenworth came up with of 230 million?
Yeah.
And he said, well, you're saying it won't affect those counties, but what about the other counties that are losing 1%, you know, if they're using 1.7% or less, what about them? So, well, that's not that much for them.
But it depends on what your actual total is. I mean,
For Shawnee, that's what he said. Well, what about Shawnee and Johnson
Right.
County and Wichita or Sedgwick?
What do you, I mean, know, and you know his percent is correct.
Right.
And the thing is,
It's
I
not.
can't believe that Saline and Dickinson don't have a decent sized percent
That's
of
true.
veterans, because Schilling Air Force Base was in Salina. They still have the Smoky Valley bombing range over
Oh,
there,
yeah.
because those jets that fly over Canopolis, where I'm from, all the time. That's still active. And guys, a lot of them that retire from Fort Riley go to Dickinson County and Saline County to live.
Mhm.
Then one other one though, I got to write down his name, said, well, but if the other counties are going to have to pay up to 1.5%, then we shouldn't rebate those three counties 100%. We should take it 1.5% off of theirs. What we rebate them, so they've got some skin in the game also.
Yeah, the veterans are very wide. I mean, frankly, Schilling Air Force Base is why I'm here. That's what brought my dad to Kansas, Schilling Air Force Base.
But then when Fort Proctor was done, Tyson said, just before you're done, I want to bring up the fact that you smeared this committee last year and we don't appreciate it. And you, at the end of, you have published things saying this committee slow walked this bill last year so that it couldn't get approved. Said, we didn't receive the bill until after the legislature was closed. We don't appreciate, we've done a lot. We've done more for veterans. She mentioned those two bills that Holland had done, and up one side, down the other on it. And he said, I apologize if that was taken the wrong way.
Stop.
The traditional non-apology apology.
Right. So anyway, by the time the revisor gets through, Proctor gets through, there's like 10 minutes left in their time. And Senator Tyson said, obviously, we're not gonna have time to do all these, everybody speak. We're gonna have to set up another one next week. We'll start working on scheduling another one next week. Says we'll let a few people speak that are from out of town, so they don't have to come. Well, they let a few proponents speak, but not us.
it'd be nice if they do it on Wednesday, because that'd match up with local government day.
Oh, yeah.
We'll see.
It's too, well, and afterwards,
Tuesday.
that John gone, and he had gone, he's their, whatever.
Secretary.
The secretary, I mean, he had scheduled a day that it's gonna be Tuesday at 9:30. And then there was a couple different people got up to testify that, oh, yeah, veterans have earned all this, including one guy from Almego. And then there was a guy, Dick Miller, he's the head of the Disabled Veterans Lobby. They all talk about how these people, and mine, I forgot to bring maybe I did. Because I had already started, originally, they said, we're gonna be an hour for just that. For opponents, I thought, I'm gonna have a long time. And then they said, when they consolidated, they said you have a minute and a half. And so I had
It's
ran
all,
that. Yeah, that was a couple of things. And I didn't get that sheet. I had a pile of papers going with me yesterday or Tuesday. Whatever, it was yesterday.
Just
for instance,
Yeah, that was a long day. Like I drove all the way over there to do this thing and then drove all the way back, race to get to that meeting.
Mhm.
On the EMS building. But I was gonna bring up the fact that if we're encouraging people to move here, why do we encourage veterans? Shouldn't we do tax policies that encourage everyone to live here?
But that's what we do now, and in order to bring people here, it's just a series of tax exemptions now.
Yeah.
It's not, long term, that's just not a good fundamental strategy, you know?
You're bringing more people here, they're gonna demand more services, which
Right.
gets less tax.
Exactly.
And I,
Per capita.
and I'm talking to Jeff about it, but, you know, and we're to bring up, yes, you're promising to pay us back, and we remember LABTR, you know.
Yeah.
yeah,
And a slider,
I said, you keep,
et cetera, et cetera.
what the next commission or the next legislator can change their mind, just like.
Right.
I
You're
had,
not you're not paying for the send outs for, you know, bill that you are requiring.
yeah,
We're paying for that now. So, but anyway, it's 11:45, so.
Right, Richard?
Yeah, we'll let Rich get
Rich
it.
Barr, your Raleigh County Clerk, this is a request for 3 temporary election assistants to start helping us, with the fun election year we're going to have, starting with presidential preference primary March 19th. We're already full steam ahead on that, project. So we will need these 3. I do anticipate, you know, later in the summer, we will need additional for the larger elections as well. I say larger, I mean, that's the big discussion right now. None of us have any ideas since it's been since how much participation we're gonna get on this presidential preference primary. There's 2 schools of thoughts, and after it's over, we'll know who was right.
There is no data or anything from 1992 on the last one?
I haven't looked at it.
Oh, okay.
I haven't looked at it.
I'd be curious just to see myself.
Yeah, I would too. I haven't done that research, but yeah, I would as well. It would be interesting. It will be interesting.
I mean, I can't really make a direct comparison.
Right.
Because I mean, 92, I mean, who was even running in 92? That was Clinton versus Bush Senior, wasn't it? I'd have to call. So you had an independent.
yeah, that was Clinton and Bush Senior,
And you
yeah.
had an independent in that race at that point in time, Perot, and I'm sure you had a Green Party
Yeah, there
candidate.
was
like
a,
still waiting for that to happen.
what's his name?
That third party with.
And he actually scored like 6-8%.
Yeah, what's his name?
Perot, Ross Perot.
Yeah, but the other one was the other, I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, so it's gonna be an interesting election year. I do anticipate we'll need more as needed election staff, later that'll be coming, to request, so it's gonna be a very busy year.
these are just,
Go ahead.
these are part-time positions.
Yes, they are
correctly?
part-time.
I think that,
Yeah, it's
Under
on
the-
there,
I,
on the yellow sheet
oh,
there.
I didn't look at the yellow sheet, I see.
Yeah,
Assume they,
1,000 hours per position.
less than 1,000 to keep them off of the benefit list.
Yeah.
Right.
Just out of curiosity, when you hire and fill those, I mean, is it a specific person in mind? Like, do you pull from like,
Most of
maybe like the political
KKC.
science department or?
Political science department, we have a contact there, and he's very good at
Okay.
saying, hey, these are really good students, I'm gonna take them, and, you know, I was kind of thinking about that this morning, we have a great partnership with him up there, Nate's name, and he does a great job of getting us, you know, his best students, and they are great kids, they're just, and the kids, you know, they know this technology, and they're all eager about learning, and actually, quite frankly, you know, we're helping them build their resume to help contribute to society and go on to bigger and better employment, and you know, and so it's kind of really neat if you think about, you know, the value that we're getting from them and they're giving to us. And, you know, with our machines and equipment, as you see them, you know, there is a lot of manual labor with elections because those machines, you have to put them up and down, pull them up and down, and, you know, they're 50 pounds a piece. And so there's a lot of movement with them, and, you know, we get that benefit from them, but they're not afraid to do anything, and they're great.
Yeah, Anita said something about her students that are sitting.
Unfortunately, all of them that we have right now, they're not gonna be able to continue on with us, you know, past the summer, and so we're gonna be training a whole new group.
Oh.
It's really valuable. We've had some, actually, John, you've asked about, we've in the past, have had a contact at Manhattan High. When we get those high schoolers that are going to K-State, we've had some that have been with us 5, 6 years, you know, where you really get close with those kids and they even contact you afterwards. And man, you know, when we can get them trained one election and have them for multiple, that's really valuable, but we're gonna lose all of our current ones.
Right, move to approve the hiring process to fill 3 election assistant positions.
I'll second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve the hiring process to fill 3 election assistant positions. All in favor?
Aye.
And sometimes we get county personnel staff. Shiloh Hager's daughter worked for us for a
Oh,
couple
yeah,
years.
right, yeah.
There's another employee in the treasurer's office. Her daughter is really good. We're going to recruit her to come help us because we believe she's going to go to K-State. And so
So we.
I like being able to start
We
at the high
decided.
school level and
yes, sorry, all 3. What was that, John?
get that younger generational more civically minded. It's
And you know,
important.
I was thinking exactly about you and that program that we talked to from that one gentleman. You know, this is really doing that, you know, not through a formal separate, you know, program, but that's really what we're doing,
Yeah.
you know.
Something I'm gonna revisit
Uh-huh.
at the school district.
But it's funny you mentioned that because I did think of that because we visited about that.
Yeah.
And it actually helps, you know, some of these kids, just like all of us were, many of us were, you know, towards the end of our college, we're really wondering, well, what exactly do I want to do? And they get exposed to something, you know, to see. So thank you.
Took me damn near 20 years to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure it out.
Yes, I'm still trying to figure it out. So
I'm gonna run out of time. That's what's gonna happen. Okay, well, that was the last agenda item for this morning's / almost afternoon. So I don't have anything else to discuss. So
I think, yeah, so I just want to kind of review over that thing and give it a try next week and see. At least I got really I did one or 2 Zoom ones one year, but I haven't done in person. Just trying to figure out how, that did help. I got to sleep and sit through and see how it is. But like I said, get up in front of the veterans and tell them, no, we don't want to do this. You know.
So did anybody talk about income requirement?
And that is the one, the homestead and then those other acts, they do have income restrictions. And that's one thing, I like to say, it's Leavenworth County people are pushing too. So on Tuesday, it said they might bring all 5 insurance. But, and also, because Jeff said, when you see Gary County's, I said, no, we didn't see that.
yeah,
They supported it. And he said he called and talked to Trish about it and said, you realize it's saying this is, well, but we support the fact that they're going to reimburse us. And he goes, you can't support part of it. You're either supporting the whole thing or not. Oh, well, we just were supporting an amendment to provide. They didn't understand it. He said they might have to. revise
she reached
their
out to
letter.
me on and asked me where we were at. And I said we were still reviewing it at the time. And I didn't know I didn't have a actual bill in front of me, and I'm not going to support something until I know what it actually is. I don't do that. So even if the concept or whatever seems appropriate, I'm just not going to do that. It's not my process. And then when I saw it, I was like, that's not at all what we discussed. And that, unless I missed something in there isn't a provision that strictly says, 1, they will reimburse it, and 2, that it will go away if they don't reimburse it. I didn't read that.
It says it's got, well, it's a lawyer's language.
I mean, hey, I didn't write it.
It got some language in it, but it's an amendment that officially isn't on there yet.
Right.
You know, and it's, I like to say, that was one of the things I was pushing on. If you do have something, it needs to be for actually disabled people and with an income limit. And those ones that, I don't think it has an income and the size of the house limit, the one that they added to it. it can't be over a certain value of a residence and that's,
Oh,
and the income can't be over so much. And they asked about putting income restrictions and somebody didn't said, well, I was just putting this out and see what could be revised or something. Well, no, you got to push through the House last year.
Well, the other thing about it is if you're retired already is different than being disabled and not being able to work while you're able-bodied, age, if you're like my age, 40 something or 60 something, sorry, I'm using us as a comparison, but
60 something, thank you.
I was trying to be a little nice for a change. But at the retirement age, that might be one thing, but if you're 30 something and been 100% disabled and you can't work, I mean, you physically can't work, that's a whole different thing. It's not the same thing.
When they talk about disabled veterans, they're talking about, they think of somebody in a wheelchair, not somebody that's got
Correct.
some hearing loss or something.
But it doesn't clearly define that. Right. And when you're talking 70%, that 70% range from the Department of Veterans, it changes every year. There's different qualifications that move that one way or the other. And then what if you're at 60%? Your 60% disability may actually be worse than 70% disability, but you're not getting that. So, I mean, it really needs to hone in on the actual purpose, which I just don't think it does. I'm sorry. But anyway.
Well, and one of the people I think it was a disabled, I don't know which guy, somebody wanted a written testimony that one of the Senator Elmgardner said, oh, I appreciate it here. It says that the Leavenworth County Commissioner said that something about I can't remember the wording, that it's too easy to get disability. The VA gives them, it's too easy to get disabilities now. They're giving away too easy. And both those commissioners said, we didn't say that.
Actually,
that wasn't one of Proctor's letter. That was somebody else.
it's actually, I mean, the process to actually go through it is pretty challenging.
Well, but
But
also
how it's
what it does,
defined.
what it does, because it's the VA that actually
Mhm.
issues those, and what it does, it gives them access to the VA's
Right.
stuff, and it's a good thing, and if they get a higher one, they can get better access, and that's fine, but that's not necessarily related to how much work they can do. That is giving them access to the benefits through the VA, which is, and if they're over generous with that, that's good, letting them have that. But to apply it to this, it's not what people think of when they think of it.
no.
But I don't know, we'll see what happens. I don't think
Well, good
it
luck.
won't pass easily through that group. There's several on that committee that question it.
Well, I doubt it would pass the Supreme Court. Yeah. Child, they're disabled people.
Yeah.
So just,
Do you have something, Clancy?
Just briefly, just found out today, it's odd, there's not going to be necessarily a traditional hearing on Senate Bill 162, the Unincorporated Area Nuisance Abatement Act. This is the one that last session we were told there's pretty good signals from the committee that there's going to be another hearing. So this suddenly came up. Originally, it was going to be once further discussions were had between our lobbyist and another interested organization. But just found out that no, it's going to be next Tuesday at 9:30 in House Local Government, Senate Local Government, pardon me. But it's some kind of an update here. Even our own lobbyist is unsure. What does that mean? Because it's not clear there's even going to be testimony permitted. Apparently, it's some sort of a process where the committee may just want an update of where they are to kind of move the discussion forward. Okay, and later have testimony. But I think we need to prepare, so in case it is, because I'll know later today, potentially from our lobbyist who's gonna lunch with somebody who can tell him this. Whether or not it's a real hearing, do they want testimony, what's the deadline providing that? But all I know is whatever this thing is, it's gonna be at 9:30 next Tuesday. And if one of you's available, you're already tied up, Greg, and the other committee. One of the other two, if you're interested in going, or I can go, I already told Tom I would go. And if it's just an update, if that's all it is, and they want some kind of compressed deal, I can just tell them what we've done last year.
I think I might know what it is about. I think they're actually going to discuss whether or not they take that and incorporate that as a one size fits all for all of Kansas. That's exactly.
That's what it sounds like.
That's what I think. That's one of the possibilities. And I think that may be what the committee may have in mind in terms of potentially having this. But again, it may or may not be a hearing. We're not clear about that. And I don't know if I've mentioned this too, but I did have a conversation with Representative Titus. And he indicated to me that if it gets out of committee, it will pass. Nobody seems to have an issue with it. There's no substantial, the ag portion's taken off of there. There's a good series of checks and balances involved in it. And he doesn't think either chamber is gonna have a problem with this, which means it wouldn't go to conference committee. So my guess is they're probably gonna discuss whether or not just to say, just make that work for all of Kansas. Well, they just want to talk about it. And we got to double check, but I think the whole reason that we thought that we were told there would probably be a hearing this session is that Sedgwick County's expires this summer. And Tom was thinking it's next year. I said, well, we need to double check because I think it's this July. Yeah. And Sedgwick County is apparently just a little bit uneasy about coming in support of other counties because they're concerned, which makes sense.
Yeah.
They're concerned they might lose what they've already got.
Yeah.
And why should they monkey around with anything that indicates, make somebody angry that doesn't want it extended? Especially when another county is kind of doing basically the same thing, you know. Well, the interesting thing is that kind of what I'm hearing is that Sedgwick County, one reason I'd like to have them involved is they really haven't had to use it. But here's why. The fact they've even got it gets compliance. That's what we've been saying from the beginning. Not because it's a phony bill, it's a real bill that would have real consequences if the county needs to do it and do self-help and then put it on the lien for the property. But if the people who are refusing to comply voluntarily know that here's the potential cost of non-compliance, that makes them more compliant. Not everything, but so anyway. It's just like anything else with a real penalty. Because right now they know because of the victory that we had in the Court of Appeals on the one case on the property up north, we're right back where we started. Okay, we won. Now we're going right back to district court. We're right back to where we can't get a greater penalty. Even though there's, from our point of view, been contempt, clearly a series of contempts in refusing to comply with the orders. So.
Well, we still can't clean up the property.
Oh, no,
Yeah,
we don't have that authority. Clearly, we do not. No county does. No. So anyway, is there anybody who's interested in showing up next Tuesday at 9:30? If we have whatever this is.
Yeah, I'm pretty clear till the evening.
I'm actually scheduled to work on Tuesday. And so I figured you might be out of the equation.
I might be able to. But
Okay, well, we'll
necessary.
talk then because
Okay.
I'm gonna rely on what our, because I told him I want to do whatever the committee says they want to, whether that's written testimony, just a quick update of everything in terms of where are we now, that kind of thing. Because I told him I want to do whatever the committee says. He's gonna find out what that is. Now I'll get back.
Okay.
I think I'll be going, and even if I may go just to see exactly what they're doing. And potentially talk to somebody rather than just trying to mute it off. It's interesting, yeah. It's a good thing, whatever it is.
Anything else?
I don't have anything else.
I moved to adjourn the January 18th meeting. I've been here for Board of County Commissioners.
I would second that.
Been moved and seconded to adjourn the January 18th meeting of the Riley County Commission. All those in favor?
Aye.
Have a good weekend, everybody. Stay warm.
Yeah, everyone have a good weekend. Stay warm. That's gonna be the challenge.